I solemnly swear that I am up to no good.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 59 of Tales from Godric's Hollow. The number one podcast recommended by the number one Quidditch announcer, Lee Jordan himself. I am one of your hosts. I am the muggle of the show. I am Josh Brown, and I am on an emotional roller coaster like none other this week. So be prepared, folks. I am joined, as always, by the professor himself, Matt Sonnenberg. Hi, Matt.
Hi, Josh.
What did you do to me this week?
Oh, I hope I made for a good episode.
It's going to be an episode, Matt. I feel like this would be a good time to warn all the parents out there not to listen around their kids, because there's going to be some choice language throughout this episode like nobody's business, Matt.
I sure hope there's not.
I want there to be. There's definitely not going to.
Yeah, I want to keep our clean rating here. Come on. Made it 58 episodes.
But let me break it just this once. Just this one episode.
No.
This episode's deserving of it, Matt.
I understand.
This is going to be tough.
But we're a family show.
I know. I'm going to do my best, Matt, but this is... I feel like this might be the week that most people have been warning me about, either subtly, indirectly, or very, very directly. And I don't think I've really fully understood how angry and awful I could feel about this particular book until this week.
Sure.
I want to quit, Matt. I don't want to continue.
Really?
I can't deal with this character much longer. And I look at how much is left in this book specifically. There is a lot to go still.
There is. I know.
I don't know how I'm going to get through it. It's tough, Matt. I
never thought about it from that perspective. Like, we always talk about dragging out the series and dragging out the books and like making you wait for all these things, but sure. I never thought about we're making you endure the bad parts that much longer.
Yeah. Okay, got through the first chapter 8. Okay, we're reading chapters 18 and 19 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. For any new listeners out there, welcome. I usually don't go this angry and off the rails so quickly into the episode, but here we are. I got through 18 just fine. It was good. Some high points, some low points, as far as my interest level. Then we got to 19. There's lots of good things happening. There's some interesting things happening. There's some questionable things happening. And then she came along, and she turned what was a pretty mediocre week of reading into just the worst. And
sure.
You guys sat here and let me endure the death of Cedric Diggory and put me through all that kind of ridiculous nonsense of having to deal with those emotions. I have some strong feelings about Dolores Umbridge that I'm going to have to work out here live on the show, because I just got done reading like a half hour ago.
It's true. We don't usually get you this fresh off the reading.
Yeah, usually I have a night to sleep it off and to endure a day's worth of work, a Monday morning at the old job type of situation to clear my head and make me think about other things. And then revisit whatever awful things happened the night before. I am fresh. I am hot off the press here, Matt. It
should be good. Or really bad.
I'm
not sure which yet.
Yeah, I don't know how to describe it. We're going to have like a group therapy session here on this podcast. This is what this is going to be. Because I've mentioned roller coasters before on this show. And I don't think it's ever been truer than this week. This was just up and down and up and really down. And then at the worst possible time, there's a little light at the end of the tunnel, Matt.
Is there ever a bad time to have light at the end of the tunnel?
There is when I have to wait a week to see what's coming from that light.
Okay. I'll give that.
That's the worst part. There's like a glimmer of hope, and I am holding on to that with every fiber in my body right now, because I need that to be the best possible news ever. And I'm worried that's not going to be, but I have to cling on to that hope right now, because everything else is just horrible and rotten and foul. And why? We don't need this, Matt. We don't.
There are a few things we do need, though.
We need to give stuff away. We need to make me feel better.
We do. That always makes us feel better.
Yeah. Welcome to episode 59, folks. I'm sorry. Again, this is tough. This is just going to be a week. But, we'll get through this together. Let's start off giving away some free stuff. Matt, last week you promised a cool giveaway. You didn't tell me what it was. You did tell the show what it was. So
it's true. Everybody else knows what's going on.
Yeah. The running theme of this podcast is everybody else knows what's going on except little old Josh. I was on my best behavior last week when editing this podcast and did not listen to that part. I was tempted, Matt.
I believe it.
I could have easily, but I didn't.
Easily.
So what is it that we're giving away this week?
This week, once again, we are giving away one of the fabulous, I can say it now, DA coins that I created a while ago that are, or at least were Patreon exclusive. So some of our fans out there already have this coin, I know.
Right.
But
this was also in the Triwizard Tournament Cup, right?
That's true. We did give it one away with the Triwizard Cup. Yeah. Yeah. And now that we hit them in the book, you finally got your hands on one as well.
Right. I've seen it. You sent me pictures of it.
Yep.
It meant nothing to me then.
It
you even call it the DA coin. I was like, okay, I don't know what that means, but sure.
Exactly. I felt safe with that one.
Just so much mystery, so much. See, this is going to be the best part of this podcast, Matt, is there was like this curtain pulled back on this week's reading of things that directly involve our show that I have heard of, but have not been privy to their meanings before.
Yeah, there were a lot of reveals for you this week.
Yeah, and that was exciting. And I wish I could have just rode that high off into the sunset tonight, Matt. But you can't ever let me have my fun. So we're giving away one of these coins. Matt, how did the people enter this giveaway this week?
Well, you asked them to create an educational decree of their own.
Right.
If they were the High Inquisitor at Hogwarts, what rule would they put into place?
Right. Let me say this first.
Yeah.
I feel guilty in a way for creating a giveaway revolving around such an awful person and such an awful character. I feel like I willed this week's chapter into existence by making this giveaway last week. Probably not how it happened.
Yeah. No, you didn't have it. This was written well before you even thought about giveaways.
I just feel like you should have gave me a heads up. Like, I already knew how awful she was, Matt, but
hey, I was just proud of you for moving off of Educational Decree number 25 on your own. I didn't have to prompt that.
Yeah, well, knowing her, she's going to be making a few of them while she's here at Hogwarts for this year and this year only. I don't know if she's going to get up to 136, but it's possible at the rate she's going. So we had some people respond and write in their own educational decrees. Did we have some good ones?
We did. Honestly, if you want to go through them, I wouldn't mind read them off.
Are they short enough?
I think so.
Okay. Well, let's pick a winner first.
Okay.
Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that we need to prop our boy Ron up a little bit here. He had a rough couple chapters. One specifically, really bad. And I just feel like he needs a little encouragement, and he needs to know that him allowing his 4 goals was not the end of the world.
Okay.
So because of that, let's go with lucky number 4.
All right. That will go to Wetzel.
Wetzel, congratulations. What did Wetzel create a educational decree around?
His decree reads, all staff and students are now required to bombard Professor Snape and Draco Malfoy with either stink sap or dung bombs daily due to the fact that they are huge gits.
I like the usage of the word gits right there.
I think he's been following along.
Yes, I like that.
He knows you well.
Yes. I approve of this decree, and we shall set it in motion as of now.
All right.
Congratulations, Wetzel.
Congratulations indeed.
Yeah. So what are the other ones, Matt?
We got one from Tanya, said, Sundays are waffles for breakfast days. Mm. Also, I would get rid of steak and kidney pie because it sounds disgusting. Mm. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
On both counts.
I feel like they probably have waffles like for breakfast on a regular basis, don't they?
You would think so. I think with the spreads that they usually have, like you could probably almost like just request waffles, sure. Or the house elves would know that you want waffles. And
do they have one house elf working like the little waffle station, just turning out waffles?
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
You got waffle duty today.
Okay, what else we got?
We got one from Caitlin. Says she would be installing a language course at Hogwarts with an expert who can speak Mermish, Gobbledygook, and or Troll, so the students can broaden their minds in a non-Trelawney way.
I like that.
Yeah. Got one from Cindy that says, let it be known that on this day, from this day forward, all students, parents, friends, and staff of Hogwarts School of Magic shall bestow upon each other courtesy and respect of person and property. Failure to do so will result in punishment that is based on the level of the disrespect displayed, ranging from detention to expulsion. The punishment will be at the discretion of the High Inquisitor.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Rihanna says, well, she starts out with, remember the Titans. We've all seen it. I would create a decree similar to what Denzel Washington does in that movie when he forces one white and one black student to get to know each other, thus causing them to see that they aren't so different after all, and that the differences actually what make a good friend to have. Back to Hogwarts, it would be people of different houses have to spend at least 1 hour a week with someone from a different house, and each week they would rotate the houses. The change wouldn't happen right away, but over years of doing it, I think students would realize it's more fun to get to know each other than sit in silence for 1 hour.
That might help. That might help things around there.
Yeah, we got some more of that this week, talking about how different houses don't really interact that much.
Right.
So we'll see. Ashley says students will not be required to take detention later than curfew, and it will not impede their studies.
You know what? I like that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, she says something that always bothered her.
No problems with detentions, right? But like, we found out that like fifth year curfews are 9 p.m.
Yep.
How is Harry being forced to stay in detention past midnight? Like,
exactly.
Something is off kilter. I mean, we know why, because most awful woman in the world. But yeah, I like that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And what good is detention if you're keeping them from like doing their homework and studying for the classes that you're trying to make them better at and focus in and behave,
Exactly. And we actually got 2 here from Kim. I believe they're might have been written by our kids.
Okay.
So the first one says they're going to have compulsory learn to swim lessons. All students are required to attend a swimming competency assessment in the prefect's bathroom. Groups will then be allocated on skill level. Lessons will be held in a sectioned off area of the lake. Lifeguard duties will be provided by the squid.
Nice. Perfect. I had to take swimming in PE when I was a kid.
Did you?
Mm-hmm. In high school.
In high school?
Yeah. We had pools. Southern California.
Okay, I guess. Yeah.
Water sports were part of athletics at our school, so PE classes took advantage of the fact that there were pools, and yeah. Not bad. Not bad way to spend PE.
I suppose. For one, my high school definitely did not have a pool. But also, I never learned how to swim.
Huh.
I still don't know how to swim to this day.
Sure.
So that would have been rough if it was required in high school.
Yeah.
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 And I'm having a little trouble pulling the second one up. I know I've read it once already, so I don't know why it's being so problematic. So we're going to go the roundabout way and look at it on my phone, because that's how I looked at it the first time.
Just recite it from memory, Matt.
Yeah, I don't have all these memorized. What are you talking about?
They're all official decrees now, so you shouldn't be memorizing them.
Yeah, well, I was worried about learning how to swim.
Don't worry, the squid has your back.
That's true. That's true. With the squid on duty, I'd be okay. So the second one is actually a student bathroom ban. All students must take their baths in the lake. Supervisor will lead the giant squid. Any rule breaking will lead to detention with the Grindylows. Yikes.
No, thank you.
No, thank you indeed. Yeah.
Although, would all that soap and shampoo and everything like ruin the ecosystem of the lake eventually? Like, that's what I'd be worried about.
I'm sure it's magic.
I guess so.
They have something.
It's always your fallback explanation.
If they're gonna actually allow that to pass one way or another, they're gonna have a way to keep it healthy. Because they're not gonna kill off the giant squid.
I would hope not.
And then the final one from Matt says, my proclamation in this case, a not so educational decree, is that since every day is Matt's birthday, and to honor this greatest of occasions, that butterbeer cakes be made every day to be enjoyed by all students. And by issuance of this decree, although you do not have to bake all the cakes, Josh, you do have to give up the secret recipe.
Ooh. Who do I have to give it up to?
Probably the kitchen. The house elves.
Who's in charge of the kitchen? Is there like
Dobby?
Is Dobby in charge?
I'm sure if Dumbledore wanted someone in charge, I'm sure he would take it.
I mean, we did find out this reading that the Hufflepuff house is connected to the kitchen. So by default, is the head of Hufflepuff house in charge of the kitchen as well?
Sure.
Interesting. Okay. Good enough for me.
That's all we got, though.
Cool. Thank you, everybody, for submitting those and having fun with this giveaway. Congratulations to Wetzel once again. And, at the end of the show, we'll have another giveaway. Remember this coming up episode, next week's episode 60. We're recording a couple days from tonight when we're recording this one, so it'll be like a day after you theoretically listen to this episode. So the turnaround will be weird. We'll make entry into the giveaway easy, so don't worry about that. But we do have a really cool thing to give away, so at least stay tuned for that so you could hear how to participate. And all that we're asking then is that any emails you want to send in for episode 60 next week, have them in by August 17th. Yeah.
I believe that's, what is that, Thursday, I think I decided?
Do it now. Just pull over in your car.
Send in your emails now.
Yeah, type it up. Let's go. Take your lunch break. Do whatever you need to do. Type it up. Because if it comes in after we record, it's not going to make it into that episode. And we're not going to read old emails. Because then that would be... Man, could you imagine having to filter through that?
It would get really chaotic really fast.
It's already going to be chaotic, so...
Well, yeah, I'll just throw this out there. Anyone that's trying to beat Alex to the last email...
Yeah.
I already have Alex and Mel B for episode 60. Mm-hmm. They've already got theirs in.
As much guff as we give those two, when we tell them to step up, they do.
They do.
In spades. All right, enough talking about next week. Enough talking about giveaways and all that baloney, Matt. Let's get to the meat and potatoes of this episode.
Let's do it.
The reading, chapters 18 and 19, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Let's embark on this journey together.
Chapter 18, Dumbledore's Army.
Mm-hmm.
Exciting stuff.
Interesting chapter title.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's what Fudge has been fearing this entire time, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
The uprising of the kids.
So we have one new character who, finally has a name. No thanks to our narrator, that's for sure.
No.
But thank you, Cho, for finally naming your friend. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's an imaginary friend or something. So there really was no one there, and we're just getting this. I don't know. Her name is apparently Marietta. And that's all we know.
That's all we know. No, that's not all we know, Matt. We know that Marietta's mom works at the ministry.
Okay, fair enough.
And
if
that
you want to include family
is particularly interesting.
It is.
I don't know why it's interesting yet. We don't know who the heck this person is. Will we ever know anything more about Marietta?
Yeah,
possibly not.
That's the thing, that we're still left without a last name.
Right.
So I can't even guess who her parent is at the ministry.
No, but it's intriguing. The fact that was even mentioned is just enough for me to say, huh, okay. In two books, when we come back and we're getting to the climax of the entire story and Marietta pops her little head up, I'm just saying, see? I knew she was important.
No, you're going to wait. Who's that? Oh, we mentioned her 2 books ago? I wasn't paying attention.
It's the curly hair friend of Cho. That's all you got to say.
All right.
Yeah. Boy. Okay. This chapter, Matt.
Yes.
This chapter.
To be perfectly honest,
mm-hmm.
I greatly enjoy reading this chapter every time I get to it.
Can I guess why?
Go for it.
Because you love Dobby so much.
No.
Because Dobby made this chapter amazing.
No.
You say no, but I think you mean yes.
I will admit this might be one of the only appearances of Dobby that I'm like okay with.
This is the best Dobby chapter since the last Dobby chapter, Matt.
It's the best Dobby chapter ever.
Why do you love this chapter so much if it's not Dobby?
Oh, that rumor requirement, man.
Fascinating thing, isn't it?
It is so fascinating. I love not only reading about the room, but what takes place in the room.
Yeah.
It's, just so much good stuff going on.
Anything and everything. But before we get there, Matt.
Yeah.
Let's back up a little bit.
Yes, please.
We need to try to figure out the whole Umbridge and Snuffles close call last week in the chimney, in the fireplace.
Yep.
I suppose it's possible that Umbridge is reading Harry's mail.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the idea you get when Hedwig comes back injured, when Filch is running after Harry when he has a letter in his hands. Like, what else could be going on?
I don't know, but I don't like a theory just being thrown out there and then everybody just kind of saying, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Okay. You know, like there wasn't debate, there wasn't argument, there wasn't.
Well, no one has a better idea. That's why there's no debate. They don't have another theory to go off of.
Right. But as a reader, Matt, that makes me skeptical. Because
do you have another theory?
Not at all. But I just don't like to go with the obvious in this point.
I know.
I don't trust JK. While it totally makes sense, everything fits about it. Because Umbridge is...
That's the problem.
That horrible to do something like that. It fits too well, you know?
Yeah.
That glove is a perfect fit. Too perfect. You know what I mean?
I do.
So we'll see. Nothing exciting there. Like, there was nothing discovered. There was no big revelation there. It was just, this could be it. Oh, yeah, that's probably it. Yeah, sure. Okay, let's go about our days. You know, like, it wasn't... I felt like last week was such a cliffhanger, you know, of her arm reaching around and like narrowly missing Sirius and oh my God, what's going to happen? And then this is just like, well, could have been this, you know, sure. Okay, cool. Let's go on.
Yeah.
It went from like 60 to 0 in the matter of a page flip, you know?
Yep.
It didn't live up to the hype.
I guess that's one of those things. It's like it wouldn't have been such a big letdown, I don't think, if you had just kept reading.
That's probably true. Yeah. Because you ended it and it's just like, I have to sit on this for a week now.
That one's on me.
What's going to happen? Nothing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing's going to happen. The kids are just going to speculate and move on with their day.
Yep.
Cool. They're not going to talk to Sirius for a while. Cool. They probably shouldn't be doing that in the first place. like nothing came of this. It was just like, it reinforced the notion that they're being dumb about all of it.
Yes. Thank you, Umbridge, for setting them straight.
Sirius is being dumb. Harry's being dumb. Ron and Hermione are just sitting back, letting them both be dumb, equally dumb together. I don't. Whatever. Throw away. Just, I feel let down immediately. 2 pages into this chapter, I'm just like, well, that's a letdown. Where do we go from here? You know?
To Charms class.
I guess so. Question.
Yeah.
Speaking of Charms class.
It's a good class. It's always a good class.
It's always fun in there. Did this happen in Charms class? I don't know, actually. When did Peeves happen?
That was... I want to say it was later.
Was it in the Great Hall?
It had to be later because Katie Bell was there and she's not in their class.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So he's throwing stuff at her. She's throwing stuff at Peeves, and I'm thinking he's a ghost. What could you possibly be throwing at a ghost that's going to make a difference?
He is not a ghost.
Peeves isn't a ghost?
Peeves is a poltergeist. I know. Very, very nitpicky, but there's a reason Peeves can do so many different things that the ghosts don't.
I don't know if I am quite familiar with the exact difference between poltergeist and ghost. At least in the world of Harry Potter.
Yeah. So I think the biggest difference is going to be that the poltergeist can interact with physical objects.
Okay. Which we've seen for years now.
Yeah, because Peeves is always throwing stuff at people and stuff like that. And slamming doors and knocking stuff over.
Sure.
Whereas the ghosts would always just float through that. They float through people.
But they also eat food.
Not
Rotting
really.
Food.
They float through the food. They didn't actually eat it.
I guess so.
They floated through it to get a taste of it.
I guess you're right.
Just briefly looking this up on Wiki. I mean, it says poltergeist is German for noisy ghost or noisy spirit. It's a type of ghost or other supernatural entity which is responsible for physical disturbances, such as loud noises and objects being moved or destroyed. So, like I said, I think that's the biggest thing is that it can interact with the physical world.
Right.
And that's why it's Peeves the poltergeist. Like, that's how we were introduced to him. Now in these later books, it's just Peeves. Like, it's not Peeves the poltergeist anymore. Like, you're supposed to know he's a poltergeist.
Sure.
Everyone else that, like, all the other ghosts are actually ghosts. The Bloody Baron.
Yeah.
Nearly Headless Nick.
Fat Friar.
Yep.
Is there a fourth?
Oh, yeah. There's loads of ghosts. I mean, you saw them at the Death Day party, but...
That's true. I mean, is there a fourth, like, house ghost?
Yes.
Do we not know about the fourth one yet? Oh, did I just get excited about a ghost? We don't know about the fourth one yet, do we?
Well, this will fit your theories very well.
Crookshanks.
So okay. We've gone over this. Nearly Headless Nick is the house ghost for...
Gryffindor.
The Bloody Baron.
Slytherin?
Yep. Fat Friar.
Hufflepuff.
So which one's missing?
Are you talking about the house or the ghost?
Well, both.
Ravenclaw.
Yes. The house that doesn't exist.
Right.
Yes.
Also doesn't have a ghost?
They definitely do have a ghost.
We just don't know about it yet?
Yeah. Haven't really...
But you know about it.
What?
You know about it.
I know about it, yes.
I don't.
Correct.
Yet.
Yeah.
Should I be excited?
But I mean... Maybe.
Okay.
But yeah, like, as for other ghosts, I mean, just... We have, like, Moaning Myrtle.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the house ghosts. That's all I'm caring about right now.
Yeah, but yeah, we do have 4 house ghosts.
Okay. I never stopped to think about the fourth one that we've yet to ever meet. Oh, is it Binns? Does he count?
Nope.
No.
He's a professor.
So?
Just another ghost.
He doesn't even know he's a ghost. Is he a Ravenclaw?
That's a good question.
That's so many questions. We just need to do a whole bonus episode on ghosts and poltergeists. Okay. I will patiently wait for that big reveal.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay. So that explains why throwing something at Peeves would actually impact him in some way, shape, or form.
Yes.
I was just thinking, why is Katie throwing anything at? Like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever seen or heard.
Yeah, you know? Yeah. It would be a weird thing to throw something at a ghost, so go right through them. But because we like they made a big deal with that in Chamber of Secrets when someone threw the diary in the toilet and it went through Moaning Myrtle's head.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, yeah. So yeah, but he's a poltergeist, so it makes a difference.
Okay. Quidditch practice. First of all, the Gryffindor Quidditch team is approved. Hurrah!
Quidditch is back.
Quidditch is back. That's exciting. That means we're going to get Quidditch in this book. I look forward to it at this point. I'm excited. The fever fudge that the twins are developing might need a little research and development.
Yeah.
Just a tad bit more.
Yeah, they're still working on that one.
Yeah. The fever aspect of the fever fudge seems to work great.
Yeah.
Unfortunate side effects include pus-filled boils.
Exactly. This always kind of reminds me of just any medication that there's a commercial for. And they're just sitting there for the second half of the commercial listing off the possible side effects.
Yeah,
like,
which are almost worse than whatever symptom you're trying to cure in the first place is.
Exactly. Is it worth taking?
Yeah. And it's not just pus-filled boils. It's pus-filled boils in places that seem very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The twins, I appreciate the fact that they're still committed to not putting out garbage products.
Yes.
You know, like they won't even give it to anybody because it's just like, it's a bad idea.
Yeah, it doesn't work yet.
Trust us, we know it doesn't work yet.
But I mean, the biggest thing is like they didn't know what was going to happen. They couldn't have predicted that. No.
But they're testing it on themselves. Like they're still committed to not harming anybody or bringing anybody any discomfort,
except themselves.
Unwillingly, except themselves. Yeah, and I feel like they probably get Lee Jordan to test him out too. You know,
I don't think he tried this one.
Yeah, probably not. But I'm just saying
his commentary might have been a little bit different if he had.
He would have been standing.
Yes.
We talk about Harry's scar again.
It's hurting again.
It's hurting.
Except Harry's starting to figure this out.
Yeah.
At least he thinks. Well, he thinks he is, but like the way it's worded, like he like the words come out of his mouth and then he knows they're true.
Right.
Like he doesn't know why he knows this, but he knows they're true.
Ron took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah?
He's definitely having a Trelawney moment here. Like, he's just feeling things and just saying them.
Yep.
And he can't seem to control what he's saying. He doesn't seem to have any input into the words that are coming out of his mouth. But after he says them, he has a sense of, like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm feeling right now.
Yep.
That I feel it to be true. Not even think or believe or speculate. Like, it's a gut feeling that he's having about these things.
Yeah.
It's kind of freaky.
He fully believes it.
Yeah.
He still can't explain it, but yeah, something's going on.
And not only is he, like, explaining why the scar is hurting now, because as he... Correct me if I'm wrong, but this time it's because Voldy is furious about something.
Yep, he's angry this time. Yep.
But then he starts going back into the previous times that his scar was hurting, and he starts pinpointing what happened with all of those circumstances.
Yeah. Yeah, like it was kind of just in hindsight. It's like, okay, this isn't another time I felt it, but it was different. Like. Once he was able to separate what was going on when he felt this from the feeling that he got, that's when he was able to tell what was going on, because he was obviously not in a happy situation when it happened last time,
right?
But the feeling he got was different.
Yeah. Voldy was happy about something.
Exactly.
I think that's more frightening than feeling like Voldy is furious about something.
Yeah, especially it was kind of impressive when he could pinpoint it even further this time, that he said something's not happening fast enough.
Right, right.
Like it wasn't just, oh, he's angry. He's angry because something's not happening fast enough.
Takeover at Hogwarts isn't complete.
I mean, I understand it's still a very generic statement, but
yeah,
it at least gives you some idea.
Yeah. Voldy's impatient. Something good has happened to him recently. That's not a good thing, because when an evil villain is, two thumbs up about something, that's bad news for the good guys.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Harry is basically turning into just like a mood ring for Voldy at this point. He's just like, yeah, okay, he's happy now. Oh, he's not doing so hot right now. He's
as long as Harry doesn't start like turning colors.
Does it? Well, what if his scar turned color based on his mood? That'd be creepy.
I suppose Harry can't always see his scar, so who knows?
That's true.
Although you'd think someone might mention it.
Yeah. And I don't know. This is all too much Trelawney for me, for my liking. She's always pinpointed Harry as being special in so many different ways, and I'm starting to wonder if he has a weird connection to Trelawney.
Yeah.
We know he's connected to Voldy, but is he connected to Trelawney? Or maybe not her specifically, but does he have some of those seer capabilities that, run deep in her family lineage? Don't know. He's always making fun of the class. But maybe he's just really good at it, Like when those gifted students are really good at a class, so they just get bored and they just start messing around and getting in trouble because they've lost interest because nothing's holding their interest at this point.
Yep.
Maybe that's what it's about.
It's possible, I suppose. Even in the Wizarding world.
Val had an interesting question.
What's that?
Usually she doesn't stop to ask questions about things, Usually I'm the one stopping her. But she was thinking about, the charm, the hex, the whatever to prevent water from getting on the glasses.
Yeah.
Then they're out practicing Quidditch and they put on the robes and they got all soaking wet and they took off the robes and is there a spell that they could or would use to wick the water off to keep them from getting soaked while they're out there? Is that unreasonable?
Well, I would think you might be able to use the same spell in theory.
See, I don't know, would it just apply to glass or would it repel water from anything that you put the charm on?
I think if you knew what you were doing, at least, you could probably use it on anything.
Sure.
I mean, didn't they even, in this chapter already, didn't they all kind of use it on their faces?
Yeah, but they were still getting soaking wet. Their robes were still getting soaked.
Yeah, but my point being they weren't all wearing glasses, I don't think.
But were they wearing goggles? See, that's how I pictured. I don't know. That's just what I was picturing. I didn't picture that being on their faces directly for some reason.
Okay.
I don't know. Who knows? Just throwing that out there. If a listener is more in tune with what's going on here with water repellent charms, let us know. There's probably some deep back lore and Potter more about this.
You never know.
The ancient water repelling charm. I'm sure that's important in the grand scheme of things, Matt. So,
yes.
Okay, so Harry's reading by the fire, and he starts dreaming. There's a point I think I fell asleep while Val was reading this about Harry reading. Because I'm pretty sure, there were certain words and phrases that were just repeated, 28 times in this.
Yep.
And I had to, really start focusing, because I thought I was just tuning it completely out.
You got to that point where you're sitting there and you're reading the same line of the book over and over and over.
Yeah. And I didn't know if she was doing that, if it was actually in the book, if I was just hearing it that way. Like, I started to question how much I was paying attention at this point.
I think it is very well written.
Incredibly, if that's what she was going for. JK,
Honestly, I think she was, because she was writing this as Harry was kind of zoning in and out of consciousness, because he was reading the book and thinking about other things and then dreaming, and it all kind of started to meld into one.
Right.
And
So,
if that's the feeling that you got while it was being read to you,
yeah,
I think that was perfect writing.
that's the thing, because like you all get to read it, you know, and you see the words and you see them being repeated, and you're just like, okay, I get what's going on here. Me, I'm trying to focus and like think about notes that I'm trying to take, and I'm just sitting there and I'm just hearing the same thing over and over. Boy, there was a good chance that I was falling asleep there. I'm like, this is not going to end well. Matt's not going to be pleased with this podcast tonight.
I think we finished both chapters.
Yeah, the giant squid jumped out of the lake and saved the day, remember? It was this weirdest thing.
If I get your notes some week and
you're just like, Josh, I don't think you've read the chapters.
Was this a dream or your chapters?
Oh boy, okay. Very well written. It was tough. It was tough tonight to get through that, because it was putting me out. It was taking me to La La
There was a
Land.
nice surprise on the other end of it.
Which then I started questioning, is he dreaming right now? Or I was like, I don't even know. Is he in a dream? I've been confused by that before, you know?
Yeah.
So I didn't know if Dobby being there was part of a dream or if that was real life. I was super confused for a second. Thankfully, it was real, as far as I know.
Yeah. I mean, he dropped his book that kind of woke him up, and
maybe this is all just one big giant dream, Matt. I don't know, but this was like borderline. I don't know. Dobby,
he's back. Well, he's still there. He just showed up again.
In possibly the funniest scene that I've read in a long, long time.
So I know someone asked this in one of the emails, but
yeah.
Did Val by chance show you any of the illustrations in the book tonight?
No, she never does.
Okay. Do you have the book by you?
Nope, it's downstairs.
Okay. After this, you'll have to go down and look at the illustrations both for chapter 18 and 19.
Okay.
They are some of the best out there, in my opinion.
Perfect. It is the illustration of Dobby wearing all of this clothing.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's so good. I laughed out loud. I was cracking up at the thought of Dobby being the one to steal or take, or not steal, like just acquire.
Yeah, it was left there for the house elves.
All of Hermione's hard work, which I was skeptical about. I was like, there's no way these house elves are taking it, right? Because all these house elves would be free. In theory, like we had like this weird debate about like, would that even work? Would that qualify? Blah, blah, blah.
It didn't matter.
A singular house elf was responsible for taking all of it.
Singular house elf who's already free.
Oh, I was dying. This was, he's wearing every single hat, one on top of the other. All the socks, one on top of the other. This is the most Dobby thing possible.
Absolutely.
And he's just like, I look so good in this stuff.
He loves it.
Yeah. The best part is the fact that none of the other house elves will even go into Gryffindor Tower for fear of finding these things.
Refuse to come into Gryffindor Tower. Like, I want to be there, like, on the first night they realized, wait, there's clothes here. Like, what's going on? What do we do?
It's a trick. It's a trap. I can't wait for the moment that Harry gets to reveal this to Hermione. Because you know he's going to hold on to this for a while.
Sure.
Just because. I mean, he has a lot of things going on right now. So
yeah, he's not going to ruin it for Hermione either. He's not going to want to do that.
But at some point, this is going to come to a head. And Dobby, just... oh, Dobby. It's just so good. Just so good. Winky's still drinking heavily, unfortunately.
Yep.
She's having a hard time still. All the other house elves are afraid of Gryffindor Tower, naturally. So Dobby's just doing all the work in Gryffindor Tower. He says that he tries to meet Harry Potter every night, and it's like, Dobby, you know him. Like, you could literally just go to him at any point and just go say hi. Like, this isn't... like, he acts like he's never, like, had the chance to talk to him before.
Yeah, but this just isn't a normal thing for him.
Nah. He's just acting star-studded, though. And it's just like, Dobby, like, you're in good with Harry Potter already, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, from the beginning, he's put Harry up on a pedestal, so...
I know, but act like you've been there before, you know?
Yep.
That's all I'm saying, Dobby. Show some cool here.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, he has no chill. Yeah, so Harry's like, hey, I need a favor. Dobby's like, anything, Mr. Harry Potter. Anything. He asks him for suggestions on a place where him and 27 of his closest friends could go hang out and break every school law there is.
Yep.
Dobby has a perfect solution.
He does. The one time Dobby is actually helpful.
The one time, Matt. The one time.
The one time.
I mean, look at all those house elves he saved by taking all of Hermione's clothing that she was making for him.
Uh-huh.
Helpful.
Sure.
Those kids would be starving if they didn't have the kitchen help.
Dobby could take care of him.
Probably. Man the waffle iron, Dobby. Dobby recommends the room, the coming and going room.
Yep, the come and go room.
Come and go. The come and go, is that what it was?
Come and go.
Okay, not coming and going.
Nope.
Okay. Sounds like a house elf thing.
Yep, definitely. How they would describe it.
So I'm like, okay. What do we got here? What's the come and go room? Wasn't ready for this one, Matt.
Yeah?
The room of requirements.
Ta-da!
I know what that is now.
You do?
Yeah. Now I'm not allowed in it.
It's true. No muggles allowed in requirement.
However, I now know what it is, and that's amazing.
A big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a really cool thing.
Absolutely. I love this room.
So, from what I gather, if you know how to get to the room, and you know what you're doing, or even sometimes if you don't, like it just kind of happens by accident if you're near it.
Exactly. Like, you don't necessarily need to know what you're doing.
Right.
That's kind of the whole point. It's a room that when you require something, it will make itself known to you.
But you do have to be where it would be in the castle, right? Like, it doesn't, like, move around to different areas.
Well...
Or does it? I was confused by that.
It is a little confusing, because a lot of people... Like, Dobby could give Harry an exact location of where to find it.
Right.
So that makes you think that it's going to be in a certain location.
Yeah. 7th floor, past a tapestry.
Yeah. But yeah, it's I guess its usefulness seems diminished if the person needing the thing needs to be in the area.
Right, because the 7th floor doesn't seem like there's a lot of action up there.
Yeah, I mean...
It seems out of the way.
Yeah, Gryffindor Tower is out that way. But like I said, like the Hufflepuffs are down in the basement.
Right.
So what if a Hufflepuff needs something? What are they supposed to do?
They have to go all the way up to the 7th floor?
Yeah.
So there theoretically are multiple entrances.
Theoretically? I mean...
It's never said one way or the other.
Yeah, maybe the room itself is always up there, but maybe the room has the ability to make an entrance elsewhere?
When need be.
Maybe?
Maybe? Okay.
This room is full of very mysterious magic.
That's for sure.
Yeah. And I think one of the most mysterious things to me is that Dumbledore doesn't seem to fully understand it yet.
Right. That's curious.
Yeah. Because we got into it, like Dobby found it, he used it to hide Winky, and I still question this one. Antidotes for butterbeer. Like, that's interesting phrasing. Like, think of antidote poison, but I don't usually think of butterbeer as poison.
No, unless you've had way too many.
Exactly. And I guess, I mean, I can see it, you know, we have determined, I guess, it is alcoholic to some extent, and alcohol can be a poison and that type of thing. Sure. But it just, it doesn't seem right that a drink I love so much needs an antidote.
But how else would you describe something to take away the effects of the alcohol consumption? You know, like, it's not like a cure for hangover. It's not like you're trying to, like, cure feeling bad the next day after drinking a bunch. It sounds like it's like, okay, I drank way too much. I need this out of my system right now.
Sure.
You know, I understand though. Antidote sounds super weird. Like,
even if you were to call it like remedy or something, it still sounds weird, I think.
Anti-butterbeer.
Yeah. So, in any case, Dobby's used it. Apparently Filch has found extra cleaning supplies there. But then we get the one that I kind of don't like that they bring it up here again. Like, I like it being kind of that throwback. Do you remember when this was mentioned?
Yeah.
Did you remember this being mentioned?
No. Not at all.
Okay.
There was so much stuff happening at the Yule Ball. Like, the mention of this room, not a chance.
Yeah. But Dumbledore did, in fact, mention this. Like, we got to hear this.
Sure.
But he just mentions it as a room that appeared out of nowhere, and it was full of chamber pots.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he didn't really give any indication that he knew what this room was.
Right.
Like, he was just as surprised to stumble upon it.
Sure. I mean, the big thing about it is whatever you're needing at the time, the room will equip itself with.
Yep.
We found out later the twins have been in there when they were hiding from Filch. It was
just a broom closet.
Just a broom closet. But that's all they needed. They just needed a hiding spot.
Exactly. It was perfect for their needs.
Yeah.
But, I think maybe they might have been a little bit disappointed knowing, like, what it could do.
Sure.
And it's like, oh, it just gave us a broom closet.
Right. Huh. Well, I mean...
it worked.
Just needed to wait it out until he passed by.
Yep.
So... I feel a little disappointed that it's taken this long for us to find out about this room.
Yeah.
I feel like this could have come in handy at several points in the last few books.
Well, I'm sure it could have. But like I was saying, like, if Dumbledore doesn't necessarily know much about it,
right?
Who else? I mean, the twins, like they said, they've been in there, but they didn't really know what it was.
Sure.
So it took someone who had a little better understanding of it, which in this case was oddly enough Dobby, who's I think the biggest thing is he's seen it used by multiple people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, those house elves have to know every inch of that castle, you know.
Yeah, they got to clean it.
Did the Marauders know about this room?
That is a good question.
Does it show up on the Marauders map?
That is a good question.
I need to know.
You would think if it did, Fred and George would know about it. Don't you? They seem to know every inch of that map, and that's why they gave it to Harry.
Yeah, but I felt like they used the map to escape Hogwarts.
Yeah.
Not necessarily to go into the deep inner workings of the castle.
It's possible. Possible.
I don't know. We have a lot to find out about this room. Like, we are not done learning about this room. I can tell you that much.
All right.
Weird question that came up into my head.
Sure.
As
best kind.
As Harry was looking at the map and the Marauders map, of course, and trying to find out where Umbridge was late at night. She was in her office. I couldn't help but think, and I feel like we've talked about this before, and I feel like I've probably brought it up, but I obviously didn't get an answer I was looking for then, so let's try it again. Where do the professors sleep? Do they sleep in their offices? Do they have special sleeping chambers, sleeping quarters for the professors? Like, do they just curl up on their desk and sleep? Like, what's the deal? Where do they hang out?
Well, they definitely do sleep in the castle somewhere.
I would imagine so.
I guess I've always assumed it's probably like their offices or living quarters. Like ideally, I think like their office is kind of like the just the front face of the business, and like in the Muggle world, someone who owns a business might live on the second floor above it.
Okay.
I guess I kind of picture it as like maybe in a room off to the back, the side.
So instead of like a studio apartment, it's like a 1-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
Where their office is like in the living room area, and they would have a bedroom somewhere else.
So yeah, we don't really have, at least not to this point, a good description or explanation for this. No. But that's, I guess, how I've always pictured it.
I mean, we've seen professors wake up in the middle of the night, Snape, and just run around the halls. But like, where is he coming from? Like, we never have any description of where he came from.
Yeah, we know they're there, and we've even had mentions of professors like in their nightgowns or night clothes. But yeah, they never really explain, like I said, where they're coming from.
Are any of the professors married? Do any of them have like family outside of Hogwarts that they don't see for 9 months out of the year?
That we've heard of? No.
Okay.
But it's possible.
Is this starting to feel like being a professor at Hogwarts is a lonely, lonely job?
Or maybe that's one of the qualifications.
That could be a bonus, I guess. Okay, let's get this meeting in order here. The first official meeting of Harry Potter and Friends. Now to be known as the DA, or Dumbledore's Army.
Yes.
I like it. It's snarky. It's witty.
Mm-hmm.
It's fitting. Like, I like the abbreviation DA. Like, that's not obvious to anyone out there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if they really needed the cover, like they said, it started out as Defense Association.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like, no, we can do better than that.
Yeah. Come on now. We gotta be creative.
Thank you, Ginny.
Yeah. This was a good first class. Like, it's clear they were practicing what seemed to be a basic spell, but it was clear that everybody was in need of practice.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it's basic to Harry. He's been doing it for so long, and he he's gotten to use it probably more than anybody else.
Sure.
And especially like real world applications.
Yeah.
Whereas everybody else may have done it once or twice in a class or in a dueling club, but past that, it's like, oh yeah, we learned that in our first year, probably never use it again.
Sure. I mean, like even, like Zacharias pointed out, like how simple it was, and Harry's like, yeah, you could go if this is too basic for you.
Harry put him down. It's like, no, I used this against Voldemort last year, but if you don't want to learn it, that's fine.
No big deal. I mean, it saved my life.
Yeah.
If you don't want to save yours, that's cool. Just a good starting point, I think, for the crew. Harry, I was impressed with Harry's leadership here. Like, I was worried he was just gonna...
It really comes out, yeah.
Fumble this and be kind of incoherent and quiet and shy, and, like, no, he did his thing.
Yep. Yeah. My favorite part is when he thinks, I need a whistle. And then he, like, instantly notices one. It's like, that's one of those things, like, was that there the whole time?
Right. No, of course not.
No. And that's where this room really gets me. It's like, it knows what you need.
Man, I could really go for a butterbeer right now.
You're not in the room, Josh. Sorry.
No, that's what Harry should have been thinking, Matt. I don't feel like he used the room to its fullest potential here.
Yep. And well, you see, that's the thing too. Is like Ron and Hermione and Harry may have been thinking about what they thought they needed in this room, or what they needed this room to be. But I have a feeling that the room knew even better than what they were thinking.
Right. Yeah. Hermione wasn't thinking, you know what, I need walls and walls of books.
Yeah, I need an entire library of books about spells.
Yeah.
But no, the room's like, hey, this is what's gonna help you out. It's gonna allow you to grow. Here you go.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Friend George, like, they just can't do anything without just trying to cause a little bit of mischief and mayhem.
I love these guys.
They just nothing. They can't take anything 100% seriously.
No.
It's not in their DNA.
They always find a way. No matter where they are, no matter what the situation, they find a way.
Yeah. Yeah, this was a good first class, I thought.
Definitely.
We talked to Luna a little bit.
Yeah.
She made some mention about Fudge having goblins assassinated.
Well, I believe they did call him the Goblin Crusher before.
Right. But then I started thinking, did that really... I started second-guessing my memory of, like, did this happen, or is this her regurgitating stuff from the Quibbler that...
I believe that was in the Quibbler, yes.
Okay. That's what I thought, but it was just like, why would she be bringing... Like, that's... Luna, you're so ridiculous sometimes.
She is. Yeah. You get the feeling like now more than before, it just starts to feel like, you might be making some of this up.
But she's just so deadpan about everything. Like, there's no inkling of, like, her joking around.
If you don't know any better, if you're a first year, you believe everything she says.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
And I would have been okay if this was just like our only Luna Lovegood mention of this week's reading, but boy, oh boy, did we get so much more in the next chapter, Matt.
She gets better.
But this chapter, I mean, kind of ended anticlimactically. Like, there was nothing exciting going on at the end,
Sure.
It was just like, okay, this happened.
They had their excitement.
Yeah. Just a meh chapter. Like, if it wasn't for Dobby, like, cool. I learned about the room requirement. That was awesome. I appreciate that a lot. But there
not
wasn't
the excitement you were looking for.
Not really. We assume there's going to be Quidditch at some point. Dobby was the shining star of this entire chapter, and that's what I'm hanging my hat on. And he's probably going to take it and add it to his collection of hats, and I'm okay with that. So let's move on to Chapter 19.
All right, Chapter 19, The Lion and the Serpent.
Mm-hmm.
Got a few more mentions, really. We did get a first name, finally, for Bletchley. He's the Slytherin's keeper. Up to this point, I'm pretty sure he's always just been mentioned as Bletchley, but his first name is Miles.
Okay. And
then got two mentions of two international Quidditch players that they were comparing Ron to. Barry Ryan, he's the Irish keeper, and I'm going to slaughter this name. It's probably not as hard as it looks, but Ladislaw Zmaszki. It's Polish.
Sure.
He's the Polish chaser.
Yeah.
Your
tongue doesn't work names. In those sounds.
Well, like I said, if you live in Poland or anywhere in Scandinavia, I'm sure this rolls right off the tongue. I'm sure it's a common name. You'd have no problem with it. I'm sorry. That's not me.
Yeah.
In any case, just a couple mentions of Quidditch players there.
Yeah, I don't remember when that happened, to be honest.
This essentially is our Quidditch chapter, if you haven't figured it out.
I didn't think was going to be happening so quickly.
Yep.
I was caught off guard by that.
Quidditch's back. Got to take advantage of it.
Yeah. So getting right into it.
Yep.
They need to figure out how to coordinate around 3 different Quidditch team schedules.
Yes.
Which I'd like to point out the fact that they have no Slytherin in their group in the DA makes scheduling a little bit easier.
It's true. That is an advantage.
Yep. So they're trying to figure out, like, how do we do this? Because, like, schedules are going to change based on weather and practices, and, like, there's all these different factors with them trying to schedule the next meeting, right?
Yep.
And then Hermione the Ravenclaw comes through in the clutch.
Yep.
Magic Galleons.
That is correct.
DA coins, if you will.
Yep, that's what I call them.
What a fantastic little thing.
Yeah. And then when you find out, like, that's another good moment, is when she introduces, it's like, these coins, it's like, I put this protein charm on them, and, like, everybody, you can just picture it, everybody just sitting there with their mouth open, it's like, what? And it kind of brought me back to that moment when they were coming back from this freaking shack, and Harry's talking with Sirius, and he asks him if he wants to stay with him, right?
Right.
And Harry just, like, doesn't know what to say. He's so stunned.
Sure.
And Sirius takes that as, like, a negative reaction. It's like, oh, don't worry about it. Hermione does the same thing here. It's like, oh, you don't like the coins? I thought they were pretty cool.
Right.
And they're like, no, they're just stunned. It's like, isn't that a Newt level spell? Like, how on earth do you know how to do that? You're only a 5th year. And yeah, it's just an amazing little thing.
Yeah. And she was so humble about it, like she didn't recognize it as being a big deal.
Yeah, it's not like, hey, look what I can do, big fancy thing. It's like, yeah, here's this little thing I did. I thought it would be really handy. And it's like,
she thought everybody hated the idea. She's just like, oh man, I put a lot of effort into that. That sucks.
Yeah.
Now, I don't fully understand how they work. Like, I was really trying to follow what was going on.
Sure.
With, like, them heating up and the numbers changing to indicate, like, a different date. Yeah. And Harry has, like, the master file, essentially. When he edits it, then all the other ones are edited.
So the standard galleon along the edge of the coin is going to have a serial number.
Right.
But in this case, Hermione is allowing that serial number to be changed. Mm-hmm. And they're going to use that as a time and date stamp.
Okay.
Harry is going to have basically, the master coin. And when he can change the date on his coin, Apparently, Hermione will teach him how.
I hope.
Yeah. But he can change the date on his coin. And when he does that, the date will change on all the other coins that are connected to it through this protein charm.
Mm-hmm.
And when a change is made, the coins grow hot. So, assuming most kids are going to keep this in their pocket, they'll feel it when it gets hot, and that'll be their gentle reminder to check it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Instead of, I mean, it's essentially, in the Muggle world, it's going to be a group text.
God, that's the worst.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
Harry sends out a group text with the time and date, except it's going to be a silent thing.
Right.
And only they're going to know about it. It's going to be stealth because it just looks like a galleon. No one's going to question them pulling a galleon out of their pocket. I mean, if they're going to sit there and stare at it and try to figure, like, hopefully they don't need a magnifying glass to read this time and date, because that might look a little weird. Everybody, inspecting their galleons. But
sure.
Other than that, it should go pretty smoothly.
Yep. I mean, the worst thing that could happen is if they accidentally spend it as a real galleon. They get it confused with their many other galleons that they all have in their pockets.
Yeah.
Except Ron.
I mean, to be honest, like, Harry might be the only other one who has the problem in this group.
Probably. Like, I'm.
Although Fred and George have been raking them in this year.
That's true. Yeah, they're fine. My question with this comment from Ron, I couldn't tell if he was trying to be funny, like just making him chuckle a little bit, because they all know like his financial status, or if he was like having himself a little pity party here. The only reason I can't decide that is because of how incrementally bad this chapter gets for him.
Sure.
Like, he's just like on this downward spiral of emotions throughout this whole chapter. It's like, well, did it start with him thinking about how poor he is and it just, went downhill from there? Or was like he trying to make a joke and like lighten the mood a little bit? Like, I honestly couldn't tell.
And I guess I've always kind of read it as trying to make a joke about it.
That's what I hope it to be.
I mean, like you said, this chapter does go downhill, but it's really when he starts thinking about the Quidditch match and starts playing and that type of thing is when he really starts to go downhill. And this happens before that.
Yeah. Like,
they're all still riding this high of these DA meetings, because by this point, they've actually had like 3 or 4 meetings already. Mm-hmm. We kind of just flew past the next few meetings. But, then they finally got these coins. And so I think they're still kind of riding the high. So I think Ron's feeling good.
Sure.
And he's kind of just joking about it. It's like, yeah, I don't have to worry about that.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
So from here on out, I like I said, I didn't see it coming, but this is going to be our Quidditch chapter. And by the sounds of it, by the end of the chapter, this might be the only Quidditch chapter we get this book. This might be the last Quidditch chapter of the series. For all I know.
You never know. You never know.
No, but I'm sad and angry about that, Matt.
Which is weird.
I know.
Coming in not like... We talked about this, was it just last week already? Like how like lukewarm you always were about Quidditch until it was taken away from you, and it's like, I kind of miss it.
Yeah. I miss Lee Jordan.
Yeah.
I still have issues with the game of Quidditch. Don't get me wrong. I still am sketchy on how I feel about the game itself. I look forward to it in the movies because they put so much effort into making those scenes look amazing.
Yeah.
But I still have my issues with Quidditch, Matt. Don't get me wrong. But thinking that this might be the last Quidditch chapter that we get, that's distressing. So. We got some Quidditch trash talking. We get a reminder of what happened with the slugs because we definitely needed to read that. We needed to relive the slugs. No, We didn't. JK. Stop it. Stop including gross things into this book. It's completely unnecessary. I don't need it. My friends don't need it. No one out there. There's kids reading these books, J.K. Rowling. Stop grossing kids out.
I'm still pretty sure you're the only one. I don't think if you had anybody write in telling me slugs grossed them out just like you.
They just, because everybody's just, maybe it's just been so many years that people just accepted it as is,
We've all been desensitized.
Possibly. That's possible. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Ron's nervous, blah, 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 blah. Luna Lovegood.
Luna Lovegood.
I needed her in this chapter more than I ever thought I did.
Gotta love her.
Because I held on to this thought, this vision of mine through the rest of this chapter. Because that was the only thing keeping me going, Matt.
That's good.
Luna rolls up in support of Gryffindor.
Yeah, in case you couldn't tell, I'm rooting for Gryffindor.
Yeah. Now, set the table here. Gryffindor versus Slytherin.
Yep.
Big Quidditch matchup. This is like the rivalry of rivalries.
Exactly. Like, I hesitate to call it a rivalry because there's only 4 teams, but it really is. It's that one match that everyone talks about every year.
Nobody cares when Hufflepuff or Ravenclaw play Quidditch, regardless of who they're playing. It's not a thing. It's just, that's another match.
Yeah, like Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff might think that like they have a rivalry going on, but no one cares.
No, just stop it, guys. Just be true to yourselves. Like the main event of all Quidditch matches is always going to be Gryffindor versus Slytherin.
Yes.
End of story. So Luna, she's a Ravenclaw, but she's like, hey, you know what? I'm supporting Team Gryffindor today. Cool, Luna. Like that's a fine gesture that you're making there, but just so Ravenclaw, how on earth are you going to display your support of Gryffindor when you don't have like Gryffindor like scarves or robes or like anything like that? How on earth is she going to do this, Matt?
Maybe a hat.
Not just any hat. A hat with the most ridiculously awesome lion's head on it.
Yep.
That actually roars.
And lifelike roar.
Because
not
of
just some...
course it does.
Yeah, not just some wimpy sound effect.
No.
But like a good, solid, scare everybody eating their breakfast roar.
I was thinking back to like the cheesy merchandise that they were buying at the Quidditch World Cup.
Yeah.
With like the little light up things and like, sure, they were cute and magical little things, but like nothing that you could have bought there was like to the extent of what she is wearing on her head for this Quidditch match today.
Yeah.
That's absolutely ridiculous. It's lunacy, Matt.
Lunacy, yes.
She's just... Where did she get this thing? Where did this come from? Why does she just have this hat with a lion's head on it?
I've always assumed she made it. Like, this is what she does in her spare time. Like, we always get to see what the Gryffindors do, like, playing chess or gobstones or whatever. Like, she's a Ravenclaw. I'm sure she's done with her homework like that, just like Hermione is, and then she's got this free time. And if she doesn't have a Ron and Harry that she has to help them with their homework, it's like she has free time. Hermione spends hers knitting. Luna makes giant lion hats that roar.
We desperately need a retelling of this story, but from her perspective.
Absolutely.
I don't... She's ridiculous in the best way possible. I just don't know how else to say that,
I told you.
Is.
She's right at the top of not only mine, but so many other people's favorite character lists.
She's fantastic.
She is.
Just so unexpectedly awesome. Anyway, that was the highlight of the chapter, Matt.
Yep.
Because it was pretty much downhill from there.
Yeah, very much so.
Well, first of all, she called Ronnie. She called Ron Ronald.
Ronald. I mean,
Mrs. Weasley doesn't even call Ron Ronald.
Exactly, but at the same time, coming out of her mouth doesn't really seem all that out of place. Like, if Hermione had said it, it's like, Hermione, what's wrong?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Right.
But, oh, that was Luna? Okay. Got it.
It shouldn't. Like, it shouldn't. She's just.
After everything else she said, like, you're gonna. Calling him Ronald is gonna throw you off.
It shouldn't, so. Matt. But it caught me off guard. Enough to where I had to put it in my notes. I'm like, did she just call him Ronald? Yeah, she totally did.
Oh, yeah, she did.
Speaking of Ron, Hermione gave him a good luck kiss on the cheek.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
How about that? That was out of nowhere.
It was, and it even kind of took Ron off guard a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, not quite enough to bring him out of it, but it definitely was something that he noticed.
Right. And she just, like, was just nonchalant about it. Like, it wasn't a big deal. She didn't make a thing about it. It was just, good luck, Harry. Good luck, Ron. Here's a kiss on the cheek. I'm going to go watch a play.
Yep.
Which is weird for her because she spent the last few years, with the exception of last year because we didn't get Quidditch, sitting next to Ron in the stands watching Harry play.
Yes.
You know, so now she has to go sit alone. I mean, not alone. She's with all of her friends or whatever, but, you know, like, she doesn't have her good buddy sitting next to her.
Yeah. I'm sure, like, she'd still go with Ginny.
Yeah, that's true. But, you know.
They're good friends.
Yeah. It's just different now, seeing two of her really good friends play.
Oh, yeah. More to cheer for.
Crabbe and Goyle.
Yes.
Were they on the team before?
No. That's why they made a point of that.
That's what I was thinking, but in my head they were.
No.
And just wherever Malfoy goes, I just assume Crabbe and Goyle are there also. So when I'm thinking about Malfoy playing Quidditch, I know, like, his dad bought him the spot on the team, essentially.
Yep.
But in my head, that just automatically meant that Crabbe and Goyle were playing too.
No, because those spots were already filled. Like, you kind of wonder, like, we don't really get much of a mention of it, but, like, did they actually have to kick the Seeker off the team to make room for Malfoy?
Probably.
Or did that position happen to be open, and it's like, oh, okay, well, since, I mean, Malfoy already, from all the descriptions we get, is actually kind of undersized compared to the rest of the Slytherins, at least the Slytherins on the Quidditch team.
Right.
Because they always talk about how big and bulky they all are, and, I mean, well, that's why Crabbe and Goyle got the job. Because I believe they were described as big dumb gorillas. Like, that's who they want in that position. Like, they're not that good on a broom, but they can hit a bludger really hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, I just need clarification because for some reason in my head they were already on the team, and I know this was like making it a big deal that they like filled these roles now. But then I was thinking, well, do they have like bench players? You know, like. Were they sitting on the bench but just not playing type of thing?
No. Yeah.
So many confusing things with Quidditch.
Well, it's because we only get one Quidditch chapter a book.
It's true. It's just not enough, Matt.
Yep.
Lee Jordan.
Still there.
What a shining star he is.
Absolutely.
He just gets better with age, you know?
Like, he's got a future in broadcasting.
He does. Maybe tone down the personal stories interjected into calling the match.
Well, you see, and that's the thing. Like, if you give him, like, someone to work with, like, we've talked about this before, like, he's doing this all on his own. So he's color and play-by-play all rolled into one.
Yeah.
But if you give him a color guy, that he can just do the play-by-play.
Right. I like his color commentary, though. That's the thing.
It's
I enjoy
true.
it. But, like, do you need to mention that you asked somebody out and she said no? You know, like...
Well, I mean, that's something different. A different dynamic you get when you're at school. You get into, like, the pro level. If he's commentating that, the chances of him, you know, having asked out one of the players is, I think, dramatically less.
Yeah, is it?
Okay,
this
maybe
is Lee
not.
Jordan we're talking about.
Maybe not.
Yeah, he's just phenomenal, and I appreciate that McGonagall is still there to slap him around just a little bit.
I kind of figure after I would have loved to be there for Lee Jordan's first match that he ever called, because I have to guess that he might not have been supervised.
Yeah,
and like McGonagall probably would have stepped up right away, especially since he's a Gryffindor, and done something about it on her own.
Right.
But if not, I'm sure Dumbledore kind of, you know, tapped her on the shoulder and gave her that look. It's like, you got to go do something.
Rein him in, Minerva.
Yeah.
Lee Jordan, what a standout guy.
Love him.
So the Slytherin fans,
they're the worst.
They are not good, are they?
No.
I want to say they're the worst, Matt, but just when you think like things have gotten to an all-time low, like that's just taken away from us at the end of the chapter by something that's truly the worst. But Slytherin fans are not the best.
Yep.
And I feel like Ravenclaw and Hufflepuffs that are watching this match are probably cheering for Gryffindor. You know,
You get that impression.
I can't imagine many of them. Like, there might be some Ravenclaw Slytherin crossover. Right, Matt?
Hey, we know Ravenclaw, one Ravenclaw that's rooting for the right team.
We know one, yeah. But I'm saying wouldn't be out of question for Ravenclaw to kind of lean towards some Slytherin tendencies. Right, Matt?
I'm well, not an expert on that subject.
It's not what the Sorting Hat says. What my point is, I feel like there should be an overwhelming amount of support for Gryffindor here.
Yeah.
However, the vocal minority in this match,
Yep,
definitely belongs to the Slytherin house. And
yes,
they made their presence known and felt. They were loud. They were aggressive. They were flat out awful. Awful, awful, awful.
Yep.
I have no problem with fan bases cheering for their team,
sure,
booing for the other team.
Yeah.
Right? Boo the bad guys.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. But when you start to make personal attacks at people, it's going beyond the realm of sportsmanship, you know?
Yep.
To bring it back to real life sports, because that's what we do here on this podcast. Duke basketball, University of Duke, right?
Yep.
Their fans are notorious for singling out star players of rival schools, specifically North Carolina, because that's their biggest rival.
Same state.
And personally attacking those players, going after them with signs, with chants, with, you know, all kinds of very, very awful, vulgar language that we definitely can't say on this podcast. And it's not... It makes a bad impression for the entire fan base when you have those few people kind of doing that sort of thing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
again, I have no problem with you booing the other team, you know, and cheering on your team.
Exactly. It's part of the game. It's why they have fans there. Like, players don't want to play for an empty stadium. They don't want to play in complete silence.
Right. They want that energy, right? They want to feel that.
Yep.
But there's definitely a line that shouldn't be crossed. And Slytherin fans in this circumstance went way, way too far in their relentless, ruthless attack of Ron Weasley.
I would agree.
The song that they were singing repeatedly, chanting, singing, whatever you want to say, just getting louder and louder and more aggressive and more aggressive. Like, that is straight up bullying to the highest extent. You know, like, that should not be allowed at all. I don't know what they could do to stop that, what they could do to prevent that.
That's the biggest problem, is when you have such a large group doing it all at the same time. How do you put a stop to that?
The Silencio curse. It's bullying, Matt, and
I know
Slytherins get away. We've seen it time and time again.
Oh yeah,
with bullying. You know, like, that is, they thrive on that, and it sucks, and it's hard to see, it's hard to experience, it's hard to read about, it's hard to just absorb as, like, this is happening. Ron is visibly, emotionally shaken by this. Harry is, like, just completely lost mentally because he's hearing this. And you have all these kids that are just being more and more and more aggressive and more hateful and more vile. And it seems innocent and fun, but it's not. Like, it's straight up bullying, and it just...
But I mean, that's the thing. But you're talking to a bunch of dumb kids,
right,
who don't realize the effect that they're having.
I know.
For one. I mean, especially the long-term effect, too.
Right.
But they're looking at it as, this is what's going to give us an advantage in our match today.
Yeah.
And to that extent, it worked just how they were hoping it would work.
Mm-hmm.
They were having a bit of fun. Their team was scoring points because of it.
Yeah.
And that's all they cared about.
Right.
They're dumb kids. But yes, I agree. It's not right. It shouldn't be happening. It shouldn't be allowed.
It just sucks. It just sucks.
Does.
And it reinforces, like, how I continuously feel about Slytherin. Like, this
because
chapter...
that's how they're written.
reinforces everything I've said about Slytherin for 59 episodes now. Like, this doesn't make me sit back and think, wow, man, I've been wrong about Slytherin this entire time. It's like, no, I have not been hard enough on Slytherin, you know?
Yeah.
I need to step it up a little bit. Like, there is some injustices happening here that I need to speak out about. I was getting worked up. I was mad. I was getting upset about all of this. And then I started thinking about what I was getting upset about. And part of it was the bullying and just, like, the awful behavior of the Slytherin. But then I was getting upset that so much attention was being placed on these individual goals that were being scored. Because in the end, Matt, we know it doesn't matter who scores what goals, because someone's going to catch a snitch and that person is going to win it for the team. That's what we've seen time and time again. Why are we even wasting all these pages figuring out who's going to make all these goals? It doesn't matter. Ron can let all these goals through.
At the rate they were going, though.
Nope. I do not accept that. No. 150 points. Gryffindor. Done.
Another 10 or 20 minutes at that rate, and
Harry's
they could have had 150 points.
Harry's too good.
Exactly. If it were anybody but Harry, though, that's the thing.
Then Malfoy would have found it. He was close enough as it was. He was going to end it. It didn't matter what goals they were scoring. Matt, don't Don't sit there and act like goals matter in Quidditch.
They're points.
The snitch is too valuable.
Points are points.
If the snitch was like 50 points, then every goal matters.
Yeah.
And those keepers are drastically more important than they are right now. 150? Pfft, get out of here.
All right.
So between that and the bullying, Matt, I was losing it. I couldn't handle it.
You had enough of this chapter.
I was done. I was like, just get out of this chapter because we need to end this here. Let's celebrate. Let's go out on a high note. Let's just end this.
Not quite.
Of course, we found out Malfoy was behind creating this song.
Yes. He has to take credit for his lyrics.
Mm-hmm. The Weasley is our king song.
Yep.
And then he doesn't just stop there.
No.
You would think that would be where he could just walk away.
He's
like,
yeah,
got you
be
good.
happy enough with that.
Yeah.
But
that song's
no,
going to be stuck in your head all day. Suckers.
Yeah, I know you used this word already, but this is where I actually use the word relentless.
Yeah.
Malfoy is relentless.
Because Ron is already not in this scene. He's already walked off on his own. Right?
Yep.
But Malfoy is still going after him. But he's also not just going after Ron, but like I couldn't tell if he was like intentionally trying to provoke the twins or if he like didn't even realize that they were there, you know, because everything seemed like it was directed at Harry.
I definitely think he was, because I think at one point he says like your mother or something like that, referring to Mrs. Weasley, and he definitely talks about Mr. Weasley. Like he was going after the twins too.
Okay.
Which
is dumb because they're older and they're going to pound him.
But he knows that Harry has a connection with a close connection with the Weasleys.
Yeah.
And he knows that will get under his skin. He's done it before. And that's what he's doing. Just like he intended to do with the song lyrics, distract him, get under his skin, and just do anything he can, because now that he might not even care that much that he lost the match.
No.
But he's definitely can't be happy about it.
No. But he's going to get his revenge for losing.
Yeah. He's going to do whatever he can, and what he knows works right now is aggravating everybody else.
Talks about Mrs. Weasley. Talks about Mr. Weasley. You know, Harry's like getting fed up here, like this is getting too much. And then he just made the mistake of talking about Harry's mom.
Yep.
You're done messed up, kid. You crossed that line that you shouldn't have crossed.
Yeah. Harry was sitting there holding George back. Like, he was doing well.
Yeah.
Keeping his cool, keeping other people out of the fight.
Right.
But then, no. Cross the line.
Malfoy just had to push that last button and just escalate it to the point where the fight was on.
Yes.
It was a good old-fashioned muggle dueling.
He caught that one, did you?
Oh, yeah.
Muggle dueling. Fist fight. Got it.
Oh, boy. I don't condone violence, Matt, but
I understand.
I have a hard time feeling bad about what happened. I had a hard time listening to Malfoy go on and just push it farther and further and further. His bullying, like you said, was relentless. It was unjustified. It was gross. It was disgusting. It was malicious. It was so many different words that I could spend all night going over. It was just awful. And I kinda am glad that he got his butt kicked.
Yep.
You know, even if it was a 2-on-1 beatdown, like he still deserved it.
No one's too sad to see that.
No. The only thing I'm sad about is that I feel like that's what he was going for.
Yeah,
in a way.
I mean, he was prepared to take it.
Yeah, he knew what was going to happen. He knew what buttons he was pushing.
He didn't have his like. I kind of get the impression that he was kind of walking off, kind of right next to the Gryffindor team as they were walking off the field.
Yeah, right.
It wasn't like he brought along Crabbe and Goyle and said, "Hey, let's go egg these guys on a little more."
Sure.
It's like I feel that like he was out there on his own, like right after the whole snitch thing happened. Like he and Harry were right next to each other.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, okay.
Fight breaks out.
Yep.
Professor Hooch breaks it up.
Yeah, which I made the note. I don't think we've ever really seen this before. Like, you may have even questioned it at some point. Like, Madam Hooch, we've never seen her do anything but fly on a broom.
Right.
But this is the first time she whips out a wand and throws a spell out there.
Yep.
Knocks him back. And it's like, oh, you know your magic too. What do you know?
You aren't a squib. Good to know.
Yeah.
And it's just from that moment, I know in my heart of hearts, this just went from bad to horrible.
Yep.
Because dust is settled. We all know what's going to happen. Harry Potter is going to be in trouble for this. Malfoy's not getting in trouble.
Yep. No.
He gets sent along with George?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. I have a hard time telling the twins apart. Lee Jordan has a hard time telling his friends apart.
It's true. He can't even do it. He's their best friend.
I feel like Mrs. Weasley probably doesn't even know if we're being honest with each other here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Harry was holding George back.
Okay.
I believe the three chasers, Gryffindor chasers, the girls, were holding Fred back.
Yeah.
And successfully holding him back. Whereas when Harry went after Malfoy, that kind of released George too. So
I also feel like Fred maybe wasn't trying 100% to get to Malfoy,
Maybe, but I mean, he had three people holding him back.
Yeah, I know.
They must have been making some attempt, I think.
Regardless, okay, George, Harry, sent to McGonagall's office.
Yep.
Oh boy. No biscuit for Harry.
Nope, not this time.
Not this time. McGonagall's laying it into him. She's doing what she's supposed to do as professor. As head of house, as a professor, as one of the highest ranking teachers, personnel there at Hogwarts.
Yeah, she's deputy headmistress.
Yeah. She's doing her thing. She's acting exactly the way I would expect her. Part of me is just okay, she needs to be rational about this. Harry needs to reason with her, but it's no, she has to do this. This is what she absolutely has to do. Right?
Yep.
Him.
Worst phrase ever.
Matt, I wanted to crawl out of my skin when Val read those words. I wanted to just throw my laptop across the room into a wall. I wanted to just hide underneath the couch. McGonagall's just going hard on these boys, and I'm just God, this sucks. But I'm getting frustrated for Harry because he wants to explain, and there's all these emotions and passion and everything going on. And then those two words, those two awful words. And the way Val read them was just she's getting heated, right? She's playing the McGonagall role exceptional. She's at the, raising her voice, and she's all passionate and everything, and then just drops it down to zero. For
exactly.
Him. I wanted to just scream. If I real with myself, I should have seen it coming. but I didn't want it to be, you know?
Yep.
I wanted to at least make it to the next chapter before we got to that point. I didn't need that in this situation.
Yep.
Umbridge is the worst. I don't know how you all kept this woman from me this long for like 4 solid books, knowing that she was on the horizon coming up. Everything that I've like been passionate about and like made my decrees about and like spoke angrily about in this show up to, you know, book 5, like I don't know how any of you sat there and were just like, he has no idea what's gonna come. Like, how did that not get to me at some point? Like,
well, to be perfectly honest, some people had been mentioning that like in emails and such, but of course I couldn't read that to you.
Right.
But
I despise this woman so much already. Like, the professor that shall not be named, like, he just made me just delirious, I think. Like, he was very frustrating and irritating and annoying. But, like, whatever language I used to describe him at that point when going through his book pales in comparison to the actual raw emotions I have when dealing with this awful, awful woman. I don't know what else to say other than it's just, it makes me, and I said this at the beginning of the show, like, I need to be talked off the ledge here, Matt, because I don't want to keep reading about this woman. I don't think it's going to get better anytime soon with her. And I am losing my mind week in and week out having to deal with her awfulness. I'm obviously going to keep going because I'm not going to stop the show. So,
yes,
I mean, I don't need everybody to write in like, don't stop, don't quit, blah, blah, blah.
I understand. Like I said, until we were talking about it earlier in the show, I hadn't really thought about how much we're dragging out this agony for you.
Because you guys could just like power through it and just be like, I know. I mean, obviously, if you've already read through it before, like, you know where it all leads to, like, whatever. Like, you know where her eventual end is at some point, which I am really, really deadly seriously hoping is the end of this book. But there's just...
Well, she is the Defense Against Dark Arts teacher, so...
Right, which, you know, makes me feel good about my 1-year prediction thing. However, she does have another title at Hogwarts now, and that is throwing a wrench into my predictions here.
Sure.
Because she's not just Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher.
She's also High Inquisitor.
Right. So that now makes it different. Like, she may not be the professor of that class next year, but that doesn't mean she's going to be gone, Matt. That's what I'm worried about.
Sure. Valid.
I just... I can't deal with this increasingly, progressively horrible things happening because of her. She's now Harry, Fred, and George all have a lifelong ban from playing Quidditch. Now, I'm assuming her only real authority is at Hogwarts, so, like, their lifelong ban is only, like, they could go play Quidditch, like, outside of Hogwarts, I would assume.
Exactly. And that's, I mean, I guess this bothered me more so when I was younger, and I was like, wait, how can you give a lifelong, like, you don't have authority outside Hogwarts. So how can you ban them from playing, like, in the pros or in a, do they have recreational leagues or whatever the case may be? It's like, you can't do that. Like, I mean, I think she just wants to be more dramatic.
She's crazy enough to think that she can do that, though.
That's true. It's a little bit power hungry.
Yeah. She wants to confiscate their brooms for the entire year.
Yep.
Or forever, like if she had it her way.
Just to ensure that they don't play.
As if they couldn't get another broom, you know.
Exactly.
Like, the whole thing of like...
The school has brooms.
Yeah, if you're expelled and your wand gets snapped in half, like, go get a new wand, you know.
Yeah.
I just feel dead inside with this whole thing. Like, it's just... It's not even about, like, them being banned from Quidditch. Like, the twins are going to be fine. Like, they're on their way out of Hogwarts. They got a joke shop in the works. Like, they're good. Harry's good at Quidditch, you know? Like, it's not his passion. It's not... He's not passionate about Quidditch like Ron is. He loves it. It's something that he enjoys doing, sure. And he knows he's really good at it.
He kind of fell into it.
Yeah. So, like, taking away Quidditch from him, like, isn't the end-all, be-all, I think. But it's more of the act of doing it, which is just the most infuriating part of it.
Yeah.
And I felt the way McGonagall was described. Like, I felt every emotion that Minerva was going through when every time that awful woman said him. Mm-hmm. And she's... I need to drink several butterbeers before watching this movie. Because I have a feeling Umbridge is going to be in the film.
You would think she might be, yeah, yeah.
And I don't know how I'm going to be able to sit through it with this awful woman in the mix.
Yeah,
I'm going to lose my mind. Just, I don't even want to know the actor that's playing her. Like, I'm so just angry and upset about this character in general right now.
Yeah, and like I was saying, her power trip, like, it just gets exaggerated that much more when she gives you the line that there's no way that she should have less authority than common teachers.
Right.
Like, that line, probably more than any other, kind of grates me the wrong. Like, it just...
That was a very deliberate phrasing on her part.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because what's McGonagall going to say? Like, she's going to argue with her? Like, she's going to go muggle dueling with her? Like, she can't do anything. And she knows that. So she's going to poke the bear as much as she wants. I don't feel like that's the best decision on Umbridge's part. Like, I feel like she's only going to be able to push McGonagall so far. I just worry that it's going to take way too long to get to that breaking point.
Sure.
And I don't know how I'm going to do this week in and week out.
Look for the bright moments. Hang on.
One bright moment to look forward to, Matt.
Yeah?
Hagrid's back.
Hagrid's back.
According to Hermione, at least. Like,
would Hermione lie about that? It's like, hey guys, I got a joke for you. Hagrid's back.
Let me just break this tension in the room here real quick. I hope that will be the most soul-crushing thing if I open the book next week and, like, that's where we start. It's just like, ha!
Just kidding.
JK. Hagrid's back.
So he is.
Is he returning with Madame Maxime?
We don't know yet.
Does he have anything? Is he okay? I have so many questions.
Hey, you've been sure this whole time Hagrid's fine.
Oh, I'm sure he is. I mean, she didn't say, oh, Hagrid's back on a stretcher, you know. I imagine this big old oaf walking through the snow, you know, coming back up to Hogwarts, doing his Hagrid thing. Or maybe he's flying in, like, on a dragon. Like, that would be rad. No, I'm sure he's okay. So many questions. I want this to be the bright moment that I need it to be next week, because this week was hard. The ending of this reading was emotionally exhausting, and I just need some good quality time with my boy Hagrid next week.
Sure.
So that's that.
It is. Now I think got to talk about some of these people one more time, briefly, in our Muggle poll.
The Muggle poll, the Muggle poll. I didn't even want to pay attention to this week, Matt.
I'm sure you did.
Not gonna lie. Muggle poll, for those wondering out there, something that we put up on our Twitter account at Tales from GH. Matt puts it up approximately 4 p.m. Pacific time on the date of the recording for this show. It allows you guys, the listening audience out there, to participate in the reading and the discussion about the reading for this week. Matt picks a fine question just to gauge the temperature of the room and see where you guys are at with the different choices that he creates each time. So what is the question this week, Matt?
Well, try to combine as many things as we were talking about from the chapters this week. Start off learning the brand new Silencio spell. Mm-hmm. So I want to know, who would you want to cast Silencio on most after this week?
Yeah.
Start off with someone who doesn't seem nearly so bad this week, given you all your other choices, but Zachariah Smith. You know, your favorite Hufflepuff boy over there.
Yeah, my questionable Hufflepuff guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Draco. We talked extensively about him.
Mm-hmm.
I gave you the Slytherin crowd as a whole.
Yeah, yeah.
And Professor Umbridge.
I feel like even announcing her as Professor Umbridge is just giving her too much respect.
I honestly thought about that.
I have a hard time saying those two words together.
I honestly just had Umbridge typed in there and then added Professor afterwards.
Yeah.
Just because everybody else I had given full names, and it's
Dolores Umbridge would be her full name.
Yeah. Yeah. Could have.
Should have. I feel like there's only 3 real options here.
Sure.
I don't feel like Zachariah Smith deserved in any way, shape, or form to be on this list.
I could agree with that, yes.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, Cho's Invisible Friend was probably more annoying to listen to this week than Zacharias was.
Fair enough.
3 choices. And, even of those 3 choices, I feel like there's still one obvious right answer.
Yeah?
Dolores needs to just shut up. She needs to be shut up.
Well, you are in good company over there, with a whopping 78% going for Umbridge.
Yeah.
We managed to get 11% for the Slytherin crowd, and 9% for Draco, and a measly little 2% for Zacharias. But
somebody voted for Zacharias just out of pity, I'm sure.
Can't leave him out. Got to give him something.
I just... If this spell only worked to stop her, to prevent her from saying the him,
yep.
If that was all that was silenced of her, that would be enough.
You see, and well, actually, no, George was there. I was gonna say, if Fred and George were present, they'd have that perfect timing, like they did during the DA meeting.
Right.
It's like he's raising his wand to cast a spell and flies out of his hand.
Yeah.
Every time. This would be she opens her, it's predictable. It's when she walks into the room, first thing she says, him. Yeah. Just
it makes me shudder.
Hit the mute button.
It's so gross. I feel dirty. I can't watch this movie, Matt. I can't do it. We're skipping this movie.
False.
thank you all for participating in the Muggle poll. I question anybody that didn't choose Dolores Umbridge, but you know what? I have zero energy to even argue at this point. So let's move on to emails, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right.
Got a good chunk of emails this week, once again. A number of people have touched on the subject of Fortnite. If you remember from last week,
yeah, I do.
You were a little bit miffed by that term.
I was also miffed about the state of New Zealand and Australia, but that's a different podcast. Fair
enough. So our first email comes from New Zealand.
Oh, there we go.
From Kim.
Hi, Kim.
She actually sent in another email. I'll probably lump in right after this one, even though it came in later. But she sent in this one just because she knew about Fortnites. Because they apparently use the term down there.
All right.
It's not as, foreign as it is foreign to me, but...
Us dumb Americans, Matt, everything is foreign to us.
She says, "Hi, Matt. Just listened to the episode and had a couple of minutes, so I thought I would email you about Fortnite. It's common language for me. I would never say in 2 weeks' time or bi-weekly. It defines any period of time within 2 weeks or in the future to indicate something that would happen in 2 weeks' time. It can also be used in the past tense. A couple examples. How often would you go to the movies? Answer, once a fortnight. So not a specific day, but generally once every 2 weeks.
That's crazy.
When did you last email Tales from Godric's Hollow? Answer, last fortnight, 2 weeks ago. Band practice will be, this is the one that got me, and a couple people that emailed in actually used this, so apparently but band practice will be fortnightly on Wednesday evening.
Oh, I don't like that at all.
So it's Wednesday evening every 2 weeks. That feels like a stretch to me, but I think Mel actually will corroborate this. And she'll use it a couple more times here. I think it's important to understand it's not just common slang, but it's an official term. For example, I'm paid fortnightly, and the word fortnight is in my employment contract. It's used by my bank. If you get a bill or subscription, you may get asked if you want to pay it weekly, fortnightly, or monthly.
Huh.
Yeah. You got me. She says, if Americans don't use the word fortnight, how do you describe something that happens regularly every second week?
Every 2
weeks.
I think,
I think you answered that, in the beginning. Either that or bi-weekly.
Yeah.
I've
always, as like a journalism kid, bi-weekly and like bi-monthly is like bi-weekly specifically, because bi-weekly could also mean twice a week.
Well, and the same with bi-monthly or semi-monthly.
Yeah.
It's like, is it twice a month or every other month?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, that's us dumb Americans.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe we should start using Fortnite.
But I could not put up with fortnightly. That's a mouthful.
Yeah, it just doesn't roll off the tongue nice.
No.
Our dumb accents prevent us from using cool words.
She says, can't offer you any idea about the origin of the word. I'm sure someone in the community may have an idea about it, which they do. I also looked it up. Actually, here, we'll go into that quick. So, Fortnite was, as too many words do, in my opinion, actually comes from Old English.
Okay.
You're familiar with Old English, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's Middle English and there's Old English.
Mm-hmm.
Middle English is bad enough to try to read, like Canterbury Tales or something like that.
Right.
But Old English, I don't understand how they ever got by with that language. I honestly don't. Like, this example might be some of the cleanest, easiest to understand Old English that I've ever seen.
Okay.
So, I mean, you can go on Wiki and type in Fortnite if you want. That's where I'm getting this from. But it basically looks like Feorotine Night, Niht, which means 14 nights.
Wow.
So that's where we get 2 weeks. Like you were asking if it's exactly 2 weeks.
Sure.
Yes, it's 14 nights.
Okay.
That's where it comes from, and they're smashing it together, and we get Fortnite.
Sure.
So, says, as a footnote, surprised how much discussion has come about from a passing comment about my inability to understand Josh's accent. Funny what the community picks up. I find it really interesting how we all read the same chapters, but all seem to come up with an original perspective or comment. Yeah. Emails are fast becoming one of my favorite segments of the show. Well, Kim, your emails are becoming one of my favorite emails to read, so.
Keep it up. Just, make them more frequent than fortnightly.
She's been pretty good about getting them in every week, I think.
I'm saying she used it as an example.
I know.
Last time she emailed.
Yes. I don't think it was a true statement, though. No? Not by my definition of Fortnite, at least. So then, her second email then says, "Hi guys, no shouting today. Madame Pomfrey has given me my tonic. I mostly wanted to thank you and Josh for your thank you, Josh, for your honesty about you feeling bored about where we are in this book.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone would expect you to be gushing praise every week. If you would, it wouldn't be if you would. Oh, it would not be believable if you were. There we go.
Sure.
Words.
Yeah.
They're tough. I have always struggled with this book. I appreciate the content and detail, but just want to progress faster. With previous reads, I've been able to skip through fast, but you don't have this luxury, Josh. I appreciate your frustration."
Yeah.
The twins' side story always gets me through these chapters. This week, they don't disappoint, with descriptions of the current invention and subsequent side effects. I hope you're not squeamish with boils like you are with vomit, Josh.
I'm okay with the boils because they're still intact, right?
So if they would rupture,
that's when we start going to have problems. That's when it goes too far.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll keep it in mind.
Thanks, Matt.
I'm not sure if it's confidence in their own magic or pure stupidity that makes them use themselves as human guinea pigs. It's great to see Dobby back, and the rumor requirement is revealed. I have to give credit to Hermione in this chapter. She is described as bossy in choosing a leader and a name, but she's only trying to support Harry as best she knows how. She does not question what he teaches or the way he chooses to do it. I think she recognizes he's better than her and allows him to do his thing and shine.
Yep.
It takes a lot of support, to support a friend in this way without feeling jealous of their skill, especially at their age. And I kind of thought about that too going through this time. It's like she does like. Most people, are going to take it as bossy. That's kind of how it's written.
Sure.
But in my mind, it was just Hermione was being Hermione. She's like, this is going to be a new experience. Never started a group before. I'm guessing she probably read a couple of books on how to start a group. Like starting a group for dummies.
Yeah.
And the first thing it said is like,
pick a leader.
As a team building, pick a leader, get a name. Like those are the first two steps, I'm sure. And she's like, she wanted to do it by the book.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, this is what we need to do. Now we have a leader, you lead.
Right.
That's how it plays out in my head.
Yeah.
So.
No, totally.
Let's see. She's a very clever witch, and we see her do a lot of advanced magic. But because it is only in the presence of Ron and Harry, when they're doing something they shouldn't, her classmates don't usually see it. I'm sure they perceive her as annoying. It's nice to see them appreciate her ability and recognize the effort she has made with the DA coins. Also true.
Mm-hmm.
The next chapter is Quidditch, and reading faster won't speed up Harry's broom or save Ron from the suffering. It's just pretty awful. The best thing about this chapter, Hagrid's back.
Yeah. Well, and Lee Jordan. And Luna.
That's true. There are some other highlights.
Yeah.
All right. Next email then comes from Rihanna.
Hi, Rihanna.
So we had a few questions about her business trip to Vegas last week.
Oh, right. Yes.
She says, I was in Vegas for business. We were buying stuff for the store I work at. There was a gift show convention. However, that was during the day, and at night we did get to do a few fun things, but Vegas isn't really my cup of tea.
Sure.
There you go.
Yeah.
Regarding Zachariah Smith again, in Book 1, the Sorting Hat describes Hufflepuffs in a song as, you might belong in Hufflepuff where they are just and loyal. Those patient Hufflepuffs are true and unafraid of toil. Zach is seeking truth about Cedric, and his just and true traits are showing. He is showing his loyal trait to his fellow Hufflepuff and fellow Quidditch team member who died last year. He waited months to get answers, and the first thing he was shown was Harry's attitude. Hints of his patient ran thin. The last attribute is to be unafraid of toil. Zach is willing to work hard alongside Harry despite not being fond of him. He's a Hufflepuff through and through. We're just bent not to like him because we see him from Harry's perspective. Not a bad theory.
Yeah.
Finally, I'm from Northern Washington, and I don't think the Canadians are influencing my accent, eh?
Thank goodness. I mean, you should hear what they do to Wisconsinites.
Thanks.
Oh, goodness.
All right. Next email. An early one from one of our headmistresses, Mel B.
Hello, Mel B.
Says, hey, Matt and Josh. Josh, 109 degrees Fahrenheit. You are weak and natural selection is coming for you.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. 109 is getting pretty up there.
It was pretty miserable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then she gets to clarifying. Here's your geography lesson for the week.
Oh, boy.
Yes, we have states.
Okay.
And 2 territories.
Ooh, 2, huh?
For example, I live in the Australian Capital Territory, which is surrounded by New South Wales, which is a state.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to...
It's messed up.
Yeah.
I like, the best I can think is like maybe Vatican City. And that's, surrounded by Italy.
Is it like Washington, D.C.? Like, is like its own little...
Yeah, I mean, it is the Capital Territory. That's probably kind of similar.
Okay.
I would guess.
Sure.
I don't know a lot about, I knew it was broken up into states like New South Wales and I think Queensland and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah.
Okay.
She says, I will give Kim the better team, mostly because I don't follow sports ball and all I ever see is the All Blacks winning. But I might be wrong. Cannot be bothered to look that up. However, accents. Australia wins all the way. Nothing better than a rough country Aussie bloke accent. Think Steve Irwin or Crocodile Dundee. And when we say words like deck, it doesn't sound like we're talking about the male anatomy.
That's fair.
But before a feud can start, I extend a hand of friendship to Kim. I love New Zealand, and I don't see a reason to fight over sports balls.
I like it.
Fortnite. Yes, we do use the term all the time. As her example then, I'm paid fortnightly, for example, and I use it to measure a lot of my financial time, such as I'll pay for that next fortnight. Yeah, I still couldn't do it.
Okay, yeah.
I
I mean,
I'll take your word for it if
sure.
you guys want to use it. But
can't argue with them.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad we don't use it here. Like, I guess if I grew up with it, it'd be a different thing.
Right.
But still, it just it doesn't seem it. I mean, like, it doesn't even seem like a good time frame to use, especially for like paying things.
Yeah.
Like, I like paying for things monthly. monthly or yearly, basically.
Sure.
There's not a lot you pay for weekly necessarily.
But if you're getting paid every 2 weeks, then,
like that one does make sense. Like that's the one I can't really argue too much, other than they use fortnightly for that, which, yeah. Anyway,
yeah, we're losing people, Matt.
Enough of that. On to this week. A lot was going on in these chapters. Maybe Josh won't agree.
I mean, a lot happened. It was up and down.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Dumbledore's army. These kids are really fighting back against the system, and it makes me happy. When things are broken, they need to be fought against.
True.
Cho and Harry crushing on each other is super cute. It's such a teenage crush between them. It is such a teenage crush between them where they are both young and awkward. Mm-hmm. Finally, Josh will know about our coins. Yes. The coins are so clever. I love Hermione, and all little girls should aspire to be like her.
That's true.
I'd like once again to bring up the fact that Hogwarts needs an anti-bullying policy.
Yes.
An entire house singing derogatory and awful songs about a fellow student, but I guess that wasn't really something Rowling was thinking about while writing. And an anti-bullying policy would have just gotten in the way of storytelling. You know it would have.
Yeah, but...
I mean, and to be perfectly honest, I mean, I guess I mentioned this before. Like, this was written in a little bit of different time as well. Mm-hmm. Like, when I was growing up in schools, bullying, was it there? Yes. Did schools have anti-bullying policies? I don't think so. Not as they weren't as prevalent as they were today, at least.
Yeah.
At least they weren't acted upon as much. That's for sure.
Right.
So I think part of it was it was just a different time. If she wrote this story today, would she write it differently? Maybe.
I mean, I don't mind that it's in there. I guess my biggest qualm with it is that it's never pointed out that, like, any of the authority figures at Hogwarts that are clearly there at the match are taking issue with it.
Yeah.
Like, granted, it's still being told from Harry's perspective. I understand that. Like, he can only listen and blah, 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 blah. But, like, even if, like, a glance of McGonagall over in the Slytherin section, like, trying to, like, stop people or something. Like, it just... Yeah. It felt like it went unchecked.
Like, McGonagall would want to do something about it, but then it's going to be, well, it's all the Slytherin, so Snape should do something about it. Snape, he's not going to do anything about it. It's not in his character, right? It should be like Dumbledore saying, hey, Snape, you got to do something about this.
Yeah.
But you don't even see that. Yeah, I mean, so...
And even if they weren't able to shut it down, I at least would have liked to see the attempt.
Yeah, see some acknowledgement of, hey, this is wrong.
Right. Whereas it just felt like it was allowed to continue because it was Quidditch and it's, kids having fun with kids, and it's like, no, that's not okay, and like you said, maybe it's just a sign of the times where, our society has progressed a little bit more to realize, like, stuff like that isn't okay. But I think that's why it hurt reading it, was just like the lack of any of the adults who should have been the ones to try to shut it down, not seemingly doing anything about it.
And I mean, I think we'd all agree that J.K. knows that that's not okay. I mean, that's
it was
why
written
she
to
put
be
it in there.
Yeah, like a bad negative thing.
But it's written to show that, yeah, these things do happen. Like, it's written realistically,
sure,
for the most part. I mean, like I said, the only thing that might be lacking is someone trying to stop it.
There was no repercussion for it. There was no... Yep. The reaction caused a reaction. There was no anything. They didn't have to... Yeah, it went unchecked. And I think that was my biggest issue.
Sure. Yeah. Mel continues then. Umbridge is the worst.
Yes.
She makes Snape seem like a saint compared to her. Lifetime bans from Quidditch? So messed up. My rage cannot be expressed in words, nor can my hatred for this woman. Rebel, students of Hogwarts. Rebel.
Yeah. It sucks that she's in with the ministry. Like, that's the tough part.
Yep. It makes it tough for everybody there, especially the professors,
yeah.
who would normally be able to do something, but...
She's not just a professor that rolled up and is, like, trying to take over the school on her own. Like, she's working for her.
She's not a common teacher.
Yeah. She's part of the system.
Yep.
The broken system.
So I missed this one here. I should have read this before. Rihanna sent in an email about this week then. Says, hey guys, diving right in, Dobby. Yes. Dobby weighed down with hats and socks. Poor Dobby weighed down with a whole common room to clean for herself too. I wonder how Hermione will feel about that.
Good question.
She did cause Dobby to have to work a lot more. I suppose the rumor requirement does work better than the Chamber of Secrets, though it wouldn't hurt to save the chamber for a backup plan. I love how Ginny has not only smart, but just as devious as Fred and George. Dumbledore's Army, what a clever name. Poor Ron and his only galleon. Enough said.
It is sad.
I think this is probably the 5th time this book leads you to think, rise above it, Harry. You know Malfoy and his family are scum. You know you just beat him one-on-one at Quidditch. Why freak out at the first low blow for him? Why? You're better than him. Why?
Dumb 15-year-olds.
I think that's all we can say.
Yeah.
Next email comes from Madeline.
Hi, Madeline.
Says, hi, Matt and Josh. This email is flying to you from England. Firstly, I love the podcast. I always thought Harry Potter books would be good experienced more episodically like a TV show, giving way to much more theories. But alas, we all read them in one sitting because we needed to know what happened.
You suckers.
So it's great to see the books being experienced at a much slower pace, and some of Josh's theories are brilliantly wrong, and sometimes scarily right. It really goes to show how many hints and foreshadowing J.K. puts into each book. I also cannot wait for Josh to read some parts of the upcoming books. Yep, we're not going to read that. This is just a quick email to say thank you for the time and effort you put into it and for continually putting a smile on my face with some of the more ridiculous Muggle theories.
Thank you, Madeline.
I.e. Crookshanks is Sirius Black.
Hey. Still isn't proven wrong. Have they ever been in the same room together? I think
absolutely.
Not. Prove it.
Shrieking Shack.
At the same time,
Sirius was there. Crookshanks leapt on top of Sirius's heart.
You might be right.
Sirius is a dog, not a cat.
Look, Matt. There's still something fishy about Crookshanks, is all I'm saying.
You can say that, but you can't say he's serious.
I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying... Look, okay, I might have been a little off base on that one.
Okay. Next email comes from the other Katie.
The other Katie.
Says, aloha, Matt and Josh. This time I really will try to keep it short. Matt is correct about Hermione. Sorry, Josh. As a Muggleborn, Hermione didn't have a clue she was a witch before she got her letter. In the first book, it says, nobody in my family is magic at all. It was ever such a surprise when I got my letter, but I was ever so pleased.
Okay. Well, that ends that debate.
Yep. That was as part of her introduction to Harry and Ron on her ride to Hogwarts.
Fair enough.
She just has a great brain and a passion for learning.
Okay.
Now on to this week's chapters. Poor Hedwig. She's just trying to do her job and she gets injured. It's so horrible that Umbridge, or Filch, has had to resort to reading Harry's mail. I love the scene between classes where they're all stuck inside. Katie Bell's anger at Peeves' glee in tormenting her is fantastic, and it never fails to make me laugh. Very good writing by Joe. The scene where Harry is reading his textbook and thinking through issues with Sirius is also a favorite. I've been listening to the Stephen Fry audiobooks, and the way he reads a scene really draws me in. I've read and listened to books so many times, I can usually get away with working while listening to them, but some scenes still manage to distract me. We're finally introduced to the rumor requirement and the first DA meeting. I'm so glad Harry and the others have something to keep themselves safe, or at least safer than they would be if they weren't doing this. Harry and Cho are getting more comfortable with each other. Luna continues to be hilarious, her hilarious self, and everyone finally has a chance to feel like they're doing something important. Good feelings all around.
Yeah.
I'm always interested in the characters that Sorting Hat had a tough time sorting. I want to know why the Hat decided to put them in their final house. We know Hermione was nearly put in Ravenclaw and Neville in Hufflepuff instead of Gryffindor. I've always assumed the Hat would have decided between Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw for me, but would decide to place me in Hufflepuff in the end. This whole Quidditch game is a fiasco. The Slytherins are horrible. How is that song allowed? Poor Ron has stage fright. Harry and the twins are suspended from Quidditch. I nearly turned the chapter off because Umbridge was making me so angry.
Yeah.
These two chapters swing from fantastically happy to horribly upsetting, but at least we have Luna and her fantastic hat.
It is great.
We do. Oh, next email comes from Masha.
Hi, Masha.
Says, Dear Josh and Matt, since we don't hear any different, Sirius obviously escaped, but did Umbridge see him?
Don't know.
That's a good question. What we finally know, though, is what happened to the hats. Poor Dobby. I always like to read about the rumor.
Why is it poor Dobby? He's loving it.
He has to clean the tower by himself?
He seems perfectly okay with it. Because look at all the free stuff that he's getting.
Yeah, it's true. Gets new clothes every night.
He has an amazing assortment of hats and socks for his troubles of cleaning the tower. He's totally cool. Don't say poor Dobby. He's doing great.
All right.
We should applaud his motivation to be so fly.
She says, I always like to read about the room requirement. Isn't that a very practical thing to have? Speaking of rooms, Josh, how could you not remember the staff room? It was featured prominently and repeatedly. You need to remember all, which is about the most impractical thing to have, come to think of it. Yeah, we got a couple comments about the staff room this week.
Okay, I definitely remember the staff room with Lupin in it.
Yep.
I don't remember the Boggart being in there.
Well,
For some reason, that took place in his office.
No.
In my head, Matt. I'm not trying to say that I'm right here. But the first time we went to the staff room, I do not remember that.
It was when they were going to tell them about I believe it was about the Chamber of Secrets. And Harry and Ron were there, but then teachers came in, and so they hid in wardrobe or something like that and just listened.
Oh, right.
And that's where they found out. I believe that's where they found out Ginny was taken.
Okay.
And so then, of course, instead of telling the teachers what they came in there to tell them about in the first place, they went on their own and did their thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Look, the staff room's never been...
I mean, I will give you, like we talked about, the gargoyles were a new addition that we hadn't really met before.
It just seems like, like the previous two entrances into the staff room were just like, all of a sudden, boom, here it is, and then we're out.
We open the door, here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've never really been mentioned before.
Right.
And so it's like, oh, this must be a new place. We've never met these gargoyles before.
Yeah.
Like, I'll give you that.
Sure.
But
or just, it was made to feel more special than it has been previously.
Sure.
That's all.
Yep. It says, I like the DA practice, the way they work together. And Concerning Zachariah Smith, I completely agree with Ron, who called him a tosspot. But it's still going downhill. No more Quidditch, and the broomstick's locked away. Hogwarts is bleak this year.
Yeah. I mean, at least we got one Quidditch match out of the deal.
It's true. It's true. They like I said, they took advantage of it while they could.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, we got another email here from our other headmistress, Marissa.
Right. Hi, Marissa.
Says, hi, Matt. Hi, Josh and Matt. The job is going very well. I have made contact with Mel B, and we're coming up with some great stuff.
Oh, boy.
You just wait.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Also, I like that my insistence that Josh not go on social media on September 1st was referred to as a decree. Excellent. I was pretty happy with that one. It worked out well.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm about to lay some knowledge on you. Hermione's birthday is September 19th, which I've heard just so happens to be the day that the trio and Neville ran into Fluffy, but I digress. From Sorcerer's Stone Chapter 6, we've actually had this quote earlier. Nobody in my family is magical at all. It was ever such a surprise when I got my letter. If we assume that she got her letter on her 11th birthday, then she's been reading about the wizarding world for almost a year.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. That gives her a lot of time to do some research.
If her birthday's in September,
that
would be after the school year starts. So when she turned 11 and had a full year before she got around.
Sure.
So there you go. That'll help out. Says, I don't think Muggles knew much about Voldy because it was a surprise to Uncle Vernon and he couldn't even be bothered to say the name. You would think if it was such a big deal that he killed a bunch of Muggles or his cronies did, they would have at least known about him. Not as a wizard, but as a killer or cult leader, kind of was treated the same way Sirius was in Prisoner of Azkaban.
I just don't think that you could use Uncle Vernon as like an example because like he went ostrich mode with the magical world. Like he didn't want to know anything about it. You know, like,
yeah, but like
he actively tried to avoid information.
What like they did with Sirius though, they didn't mention that he was magical, but Sirius Black was definitely on the Muggle news.
Sure.
It's like, this is a very bad man. He's armed and dangerous. You know, like, keep an eye out. Stay away from him. If they did the same thing with Voldemort, you would think Uncle Vernon would have known about that.
Right. Yeah.
He wouldn't have any idea that he was a magical guy, but he probably would have scoffed at his name.
Sure.
Like, Voldemort? What kind of name is that?
Yeah.
Says, I guess it is possible that Hermione read all about him in all those books she read that included Harry, because she knew about him, which she also mentions in that first meeting on the train. But it still doesn't explain why she's bothered by the name, which I would agree with.
Okay.
Like I would agree that Hermione probably read a lot about Voldemort, but yeah, why? Like, did the books tell her to fear the name? Like, did they always just refer to him as he who must not be named in the books?
Yeah.
Or like,
maybe it's just learned from like how everybody else reacts around the name.
But you see, that's the thing. If she's reading these books by herself for a year,
I mean,
that's
after,
kind of what we're
like
assuming.
once she starts getting to Hogwarts and Diagon Alley and all that stuff,
and she just picked up that no one else will say the name.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, maybe I definitely shouldn't be saying that right now.
Yeah, I suppose it's a possibility, but yeah.
Maybe it's not a lack, or maybe it's not like a fear for her saying it. Like, I'm afraid if I say this or hear it, but it's like I'm afraid to say it because of the reaction that it induces when other people hear it. Type of fear.
Sure. Just more of a social thing.
Yeah.
Than an actual fear of the name.
Right. Like, I don't get afraid or like upset when I say the word Hitler, but I know that evokes some like very strong emotions in people, so I'm going to be cautious in how I use that name, and knowing like, I mean, obviously like Voldy's name evokes stronger emotions in the wizarding community because it's still fresh and it's still new and still active, essentially, but like back in the day, like shortly after or during World War II, like the name Adolf Hitler, like it upset people. Like people didn't want, in that same vein. So I guess what I'm saying is, like, I could understand, like, not necessarily her being afraid of the name, but just more cautious and upset of, like, what it does to other people when she says it.
Yeah, just understanding that wasn't really socially acceptable.
Yep.
Sure. Okay, rant over. So on to this week's first round of chapters. We're back in Charms class, and we all know how much Josh loves being here.
Yes.
It is taught by the head of Ravenclaw. Just saying.
Who? What?
Filch should most definitely have been the best person for Umbridge to use to violate students' rights. He's all about chaining them up and hanging them from ceilings.
Yeah.
Hermione telling Ron how to do Silencio is very reminiscent of the Leviosa scene from Sorcerer's Stone, and I think it's delightful. I am a little bewildered by how they're given extra practice on certain charms for homework. Are they just supposed to find something to try it on? Or are they allowed to borrow the animals after class?
Did you ever have a classroom pet that you could, like, take home, like, for the week and take care of, and then the next
that we took home? No.
Okay.
No. We had classroom pets, but they stayed in the classroom.
Sure.
I think, yeah, sometimes we had fish, sometimes we had hamsters.
Mm-hmm.
Our kindergarten classroom was the biggest one, I think. They had guinea pigs in there.
Yeah.
Actually, no, they had a lot of animals. That's one. I don't think it was like on a full rotation, but over the holidays in particular, well, maybe that was just because I was a teacher's kid. That might have been
because
I had access to the building then.
Ooh.
Because like I would come in over the holidays and feed all the pets in the kindergarten classroom.
Sure.
I know that I did that a couple of times. But yeah, that might have just been because my dad was a teacher.
Yeah.
So who knows? But that's the closest we got. Like there wasn't anything that we took home on a regular basis.
Just curious.
Sure. I don't think Umbridge isn't going to be very happy with the Gryffindor team appealing to Dumbledore about reforming. This can't end well, and we end up as we end up seeing.
Yep.
Now, I know that Ron and Harry get mad at Hermione for voicing her reluctance about the group now that Sirius has given his support. But I don't blame her. It is a very risky thing for them to be doing, and she's not wrong about him wanting to do the same thing and being jumped up since he's been forbidden to leave the house. Quidditch, some insight into Voldy's mood, weird dreams about doors, same old, same old. I think you would agree there.
Yeah. Nothing new and exciting to write home about.
But Dobby is back.
Yes.
And he's been taking all the clothes Hermione has been leaving out and giving some to poor Winky. It's too bad that he has to clean the tower all by himself since the other elves feel insulted, but he's cheery nonetheless. And then, the room of requirement. As long as Hermione has books, she'll go along with anything. And Dumbledore's army is the best. The coins are probably the single most amazing thing that we've seen Hermione come up with to date, including her blue fire. And then, the question about why she isn't in Ravenclaw is also great. The rest is mostly Quidditch, but the line, staring into the dregs of milk at the bottom of his empty cereal bowl, as though seriously considering attempting to drown himself in them, is just so good.
I get to see that kid just staring like that.
Yeah, you know it.
Mm-hmm.
Luna's hat is the best. And I saw... Oh, this is the one I mentioned it was coming.
Okay.
But I didn't give you specifics. I saw that Funko is doing a Luna with the hat.
Oh, no way.
Which I am seriously considering buying. Yes, that is actually in the next wave. I told you there was going to be another Luna figure, but I couldn't tell you what it was because you haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah.
Yes, there's Luna with a lion hat.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes. I have a feeling that might end up as a giveaway at some point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The Crown and the Song, Slytherin. I know Josh Lovely's commentary as usual, and Umbridge is the worst human being ever to walk the earth. Banned? Really? But at least Hagrid is back.
Yeah.
Think we can all agree on that.
Yeah. I agree.
Wow. We still got emails left, but here we have one from Atari Alex.
Whoa, what's up, Alex?
Unless you want me to save it for the end, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's give him credit for being early.
All right.
All
Dear
right.
Josh and Matt, in case you guys had ever considered starting a spin-off podcast chronicling your journey through the reading through the Divergent series, please don't. Having just spent a total of 31 hours in the car listening to the second book, Insurgent, I can tell you firsthand, these books are incredibly boring, and the main character, Triss, is even more of a moody teenager than Harry is in this book.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I wasn't planning that.
No. You could sleep easy, Alex, knowing that is not coming your way.
Speaking of long car rides, I have some bad news. Between driving across the country, unpacking my new apartment, worrying about going back to school for the first time in 2 years, and reading 4 chapters for your podcast, I didn't have any time to look into UK household numbers and newspaper subscription models. I'll have to get back to you on that.
We'll be here, Alex. We'll be here.
We'll be waiting. I did, however, get curious about the origin of the term fortnight. Essentially, it's a portmanteau of 14 nights, which is about half the length of time between a new moon and a full moon, or vice versa. Of course, we don't really base our calendars off lunar cycles anymore, so the term has fallen out of use since then. Fair enough.
Yeah.
On to this week's reading. I feel pretty confident saying that, for the first chapter at least, Josh and I can agree that some cool stuff happens. Maybe?
Yeah.
First of all, we discover why all of Hermione's hats have been taken.
Yep.
And yet the castle is still miraculously in great working order.
Mm-hmm.
We get some of Dobby's antics and the reveal of the room requirement. I've always had some questions about the limitations of the magic of this room, but we can cover that some other time. Harry and company finally get their fight club. I mean, Defense Against the Dark Arts group off the ground. Which is neat, and tedious romantic subplots continue to rear their ugly heads.
Aw. Alex, come on now. I know you like the rom-coms.
Well, he's married now, right?
Sure, but, that means that he should be extra sensitive to the romance and the
Honeymoon's over, Josh. Honeymoon's over.
Yeah, that's true. Sorry, Alex.
The second chapter this week, I can't say I care for as much. As big of a fan of Quidditch chapters as I am, the juvenile taunting that precedes it can be a bit much. I suppose that's kind of the point, but it's still irritating to me. Luna's hat kind of makes up for it, though. Then we get a whammy at the end of the chapter with Harry and George beating up Malfoy, which I have never found believable. I get the tensions are high and Harry's more grouchy than ever, but he's been dealing with Malfoy for 4 years now. Is he seriously going to let one crack at his mother push him over the edge? Then, of course, to make matters worse, Umbridge continues to prove she's evil incarnate by banning Harry and the twins from ever playing Quidditch again, which also pushes the limits of believability for me. Sure, she can ban them from playing in school matches for as long as she's there, but to confiscate their personal property and proclaim they'll never play a sport again? I know she's on a power trip, but that's just delusional. I think we kind of covered that, yeah.
Yeah, going back to the Harry being pushed over the edge, though,
Yep.
He had to listen to them chanting and singing that song the entire match. He's ultra sensitive about how Ron is doing. He's seeing this slow progression towards depression all day with him.
Yep.
So he's super defensive against about that. He's already had just a heck of a time this school year as it is with everything. So I think it was just like the boiling point, like just finally happened. You know, like I don't think it was just like
it was the final straw. It wasn't just that incident; it was everything.
There were so many emotions, so many raw emotions. That entire Quidditch match, it was, you know.
I mean, something I hadn't really thought of till now about that Quidditch match is that it's something we never really get a sense of because she never addresses it directly. But how long did it actually take? Like, was he sitting there listening to the song for an hour? Yeah. Or was it 5 minutes?
I feel like 15, 20 minutes, probably.
You see, because I could make arguments for different parts of this going both ways. Like, if it was an hour, I could see Harry being extremely fed up with it at that point.
Yeah.
But at the same time, then if the match was shorter, if it was like a 5-10 minute match, that could also explain a little bit why we didn't see as much of a reaction from the teachers trying to stop stuff. Like, they were just getting started.
Yeah.
I mean, it still should have been something, but yeah. It without knowing exactly how long it took, like it easily, all that scoring could have taken place in 5 minutes.
Sure.
But like I said, it could have been 15, 20 minutes.
Yep.
Don't know. All right. Next email from Caitlin.
Hi, Caitlin.
It says, hey, Josh and Matt, missed last week because I was camping in Michigan. Between layovers and flying, I got to finish re-listening to the last Goblet of Fire chapters, and one episode just happens to mention just how much Matt doesn't like the Lake State.
Wait, so Caitlin flew to Michigan to go camping?
That's what it sounds like?
Have you ever flown anywhere to go camping? Like, that seems...
I haven't, no.
Odd.
She addresses a little more here. I have to disagree with you, Matt. I thought it was gorgeous, and my best friend lives there.
Okay.
So apparently she was going to visit her best friend.
Flew out
and then went camping.
Okay. I'll give her a pass then.
I will say they didn't fly, but my brother did just this past week drive up from South Carolina up to Wisconsin for his best friend's 30th birthday where they went camping.
Okay. And see, so, I guess I just always associate camping with driving. Sure. Flying into somewhere to go camping, I can't make that connection in my head.
Yeah, it does seem a little backwards. It's like, we're going to use this high technology where we fly through the sky in 2 hours to fly halfway across the country and then rough it out in the woods. Yep.
Anyway.
She said, my best friend lives out there, so my only gripe is that people believe lakes are better than oceans. I grew up in southeastern Virginia, so I have to disagree. The coast life is the best. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the ocean also kills you.
Matt, let me tell you about Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah. I also wanted to tell you guys, well, my name is not Ashley. I have hooked another listener.
Ooh.
My mom heard about this podcast from both me and my sister, but it wasn't until I moved back home that she started hearing you guys. She'll jump in wherever I am, and now our lunches consist of listening to y'all instead of reading. My mom used to read Harry Potter to me when they first came out, and we spent every Thanksgiving that there was a Harry Potter release with my sister at the movie theater. Well, my dad stayed at home. He's much too muggle for Harry Potter, but he will suffer through the movies about once a year for us.
Oh, that's a good guy.
There you go. One thing from last week, I always imagined that Dumbledore kept Filch on for 3 reasons. He does a good job of terrifying most students and discouraging rule breaking.
Okay.
Mrs. Norris is an excellent assistant who keeps most students in line with her large red eyes. And lastly, Dumbledore wishes to include all magical folk in a magical world, even those who do not have their own magic. We see this with Mrs. Fig's inclusion in the Order and protecting Harry. I like to think Dumbledore believes that squibs deserve a place in the wizarding world, unlike so many of his colleagues or fellow peers.
I think that third one is probably the best explanation.
Yes, I very much like that explanation.
Yeah, that sounds like the most Dumbledore thing.
Yep. On to these chapters. Who is Harry kidding? Sirius may have given him good advice when he was in the Triwizard Tournament, but always seemed to this book is Sirius encouraging rule breaking. Come on, you dumb 15-year-olds. We get another Dobby moment. I had issues with Dobby in the second book, but he more than made up for his near homicide attempts by stealing from Snape for Harry in the second task, as well as giving him the location of the room requirement for the DA. I hope Harry appreciates him properly now.
He better. I think he does.
I think so too. Since Ron, Harry, and Hermione envisioned the room requirement, their room has more than just what each of them wanted. Ron may have focused on a comfy area to practice jinxes. Hermione may have wanted books and information on defense against dark arts. And we hear Harry's thoughts about a simple space to practice magic. I want to know more about the magic of this room. If they had all wanted 3 separate things, would the room have combined them all together in one big space?
That's a good question. Maybe it was just who wanted it more. Who was more passionate about their thinking.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Yeah, would there have been dividers or 3 separate rooms? Or I don't know. It's a mystery. Josh, did you see the illustrations at the beginning of the chapter? This is what I was talking about.
Nope.
If not, you should go look at the beginning of The Lion and the Serpent. It's a great image of the best Ravenclaw that you know of. So, yeah. I would definitely recommend you do that. Obviously, don't go any further, but...
I know the rules.
If you need to, have Val show you those 2 pages.
I'll be fine.
Why is it so strange for different houses to talk to each other? Don't professors want students to have friends outside of the houses? If they share classes together, it's not like they have no exposure to each other, so would I assume at mealtimes it would be okay to talk with one another? I suppose in this instance it's specifically they don't want the old toad noticing them, but still.
That's what I think it is. It's this new decree of not being allowed to be in groups of 3 or more without permission.
Sure.
So I think that's why they're cautious about raising eyebrows.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Speaking of, someone already mentioned this, but I just wanted to reiterate. Umbridge is so much worse than Voldemort. Her unfair policies reek of corruption, especially poor Fred. He wasn't fighting at all. Not quite sure about that. He didn't get a punch in, but I think he would have. Good thing her lifetime ban won't last past this book, right? Here's hoping that the Defense Against Dark Arts Professor curse is still on.
Yeah. Goodness gracious.
At least this chapter isn't a total wash. We get some excellent news right there at the end. Shout out to Matt for ending the reading right here.
No. Don't give Matt credit for this.
Although in the weeks leading up to this, Josh didn't seem too worried about Hagrid. When reading it the first time, I was getting nervous, and Sirius's tidbit about Maxime and Hagrid getting separated didn't help. I was certainly glad when we finally did see him return.
I don't know what you guys were all nervous about. Totally cool. Everything's fine, folks. Everything's fine.
Next email from Katie.
Hi, Katie.
Says, hello, I'm really living on the edge with these emails lately. I'm hoping that since I'm in Central Time and your episodes are nice and long, I'll get this in on time. If not, blame the Nargles.
The what?
The Nargles.
I don't know what that is.
You don't know what that is.
Okay, cool.
I specifically remember listening to my Book 5 audiobook on a road trip with my family. At the point in the story when Umbridge came in to ban Harry from Quidditch, my dad actually growled with frustration. I just laughed at his reaction because I'd read it before, but I felt just as frustrated when I first read that part. Umbridge. Blah. She's mad with power. Also, Ginny coming up with Dumbledore's army makes me happy. I really like her, and Neville was able to disarm Harry.
Yeah.
All right, I'll stop rambling now and send this. I need to hurry up and read the next chapters. Everybody planning ahead. I like it.
Yep.
And then it looks like our final email of this week goes to Joe.
What's up, Joe?
Says, hey guys, another late email. Well, late for me. I'm in New York, so it's past midnight right now, but I'm trying to stay consistent and not miss a week. I believe he did send it, while we were recording. So,
yeah.
Okay. Josh, I know you don't know where the story is going yet, but I believe it's one of those things you'll appreciate when you finish and get the grand scheme of this book. There's plenty of excitement to come, I assure you, and it's definitely not because I've been reading ahead. I'm loving how paranoid Josh is about getting every character we get introduced to. Will it be good? Will it be bad? Who's gonna betray who? I guess time will tell.
I can't trust anybody going forward.
It's true.
With good reason.
Now, on to this week's chapters. I believe Hermione has a good point about Sirius living vicariously through them. That wouldn't deter me from still starting the group, though. Whatever connection Harry has with Voldemort appears to be strengthening. For Harry to be able to read his mood is certainly troublesome, but I guess it could have some benefits. And he should tell Dumbledore. Speaking of which, where the heck has he been? We're almost halfway through the book, and I feel that we've barely seen him.
I was kind of thinking that too. His name was brought up a lot in this reading, but it's just like, I was sitting there wondering, did I forget where he went? Is he I know he's still around because I remember like his opening speech with Dolores interrupting him and whatnot.
See, okay, let's look at this.
Yeah.
When do we normally see Dumbledore?
At the beginning and the end of the year, and
Exactly.
when Harry gets in trouble.
He doesn't teach a class, as far as we know, at least not one that Harry's taking. We see him at the opening ceremony, like I said, and the closing ceremony where he gives Gryffindor enough points to win the House Cup.
I will point out that there's been an exceptional amount of mentions of people recommending that Harry tell Dumbledore something or go to Dumbledore about something, and that not happening, whereas in other books that hasn't been the case.
Well, do you remember why, though?
Why what?
Why Harry won't do it?
Because he's probably still mad at him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's mad at Dumbledore. He's trying to prove a point. He's trying to outlast Dumbledore, make Dumbledore come to him. Like, he's mad because Dumbledore was ignoring him earlier in the year.
Sure, but
he doesn't want to break down and go to him.
Right, but there's just been an exceptional amount of mentions of it.
But he's being a dumb 15-year-old boy.
He is. And Dumbledore's being shady and mysterious, so...
How can you say that, though? You haven't seen him.
Exactly.
We don't normally see him much during the year, and so why would you expect to see him now?
I just don't know, Matt.
All right.
I have no answers.
The room of requirement, and to be told by Dobby, no less. I love the idea of this room, and I think it's the perfect thing to have in such a magical castle. I knew there was something fishy about that comment from Dumbledore at the Yule Ball last book.
Wow, Joe remembered it?
Yeah, apparently.
Huh, all
right. Josh, I'd like to point out that for an earlier giveaway in this book, you had people write in the names of their own secret group or society. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that thought of this, but I was wondering if you knew Harry would eventually start something like this. Just another example of you accidentally predicting something that would happen.
I mean, going back to my Muggle theories before we started the book, that was one of my predictions.
Yeah.
So
that's true. I
don't know if I said like Harry was going to start it, but
yeah. I think for the giveaway thing, I think that was fairly early on. I think you were relating that to the Order,
right?
As the secret society,
yes.
Not so much as this student group.
Totally, yeah,
yeah.
The minor leagues of the Order of the Phoenix.
Sure.
Yeah.
Says it's really cool to learn that everyone is getting a lot out of the class and they're improving. And Hermione coming up with the idea for that galleon coin for each of the members is such a clever idea. I'm seriously jealous of how smart she is. I love Luna, and that lion hat is amazing. No one's disagreeing with you there.
No, yeah. Fantastic.
The Lee Jordan commentary is back, and Josh must be thrilled.
Absolutely.
It is garbage. he says he's censoring for a family show, that Harry and the twins got banned and Crabbe and Malfoy are free, and to ban Fred when he didn't do anything. I'd love to have seen Fred get his hands on Malfoy, though. That's it for me.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you indeed.
And thank you to everybody that emailed this week.
Yeah?
I love the email segment, Matt.
I know you do.
It makes me feel better.
I think it's a good thing we always have it at the end of the show.
That was the proverbial talking off the ledge that I needed to keep going.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that everybody... see, when I was on the Rita Skeeter bandwagon, I was like, I was up there all alone. I was facing the fire squad by myself.
Yep.
At least with my anger and frustration with Dolores Umbridge, it's...
You are not alone.
Not even close to being alone. And that makes me feel comforted. So,
yeah.
I guess I'll continue on to next week.
All right.
I at least need to see what's up with Hagrid, right? Matt, if there's something bad, if it's like zombie Hagrid or something like that, I'm done. I can't endure a week of awfulness.
All right.
Which I'm just setting myself up for failure at this point.
No promises.
Yeah. Fantastic. Middle of the book. One last thing, Matt.
Yes.
Before we say goodbye, we need to announce what the next giveaway is.
We should do that.
Because we are recording the night after this episode releases, having a giveaway, a proper giveaway where people have to write in and you know, participate in some way, shape, or form, makes it tricky to get a full assortment of entries. We're going to make it easy on everybody. We're going to go back to an iTunes review.
Yes. And give credit where credit is due. This idea was brought to us by our headmistress, Mel B.
Yes. Absolutely. Fantastic idea. Thank you, Mel B, for making it easy on everybody. So if you have already done so, you are entered into this giveaway next week.
Yep.
If you have not entered into our iTunes review giveaway yet, now is your chance to do so. All you have to do is go over to iTunes, type up a review for this podcast, take a screenshot before you hit send, and email that sucker over to talesfromgodric's.hollow@gmail.com. That is your official entry into the giveaway. Then go ahead and hit send. You're good to go. Reason we ask you to do that is because iTunes has a funny way of keeping track of who is submitting reviews. Sometimes they don't go through until several days later. They're regional. There's all these weird things that make it impossible to really keep track of. So we need your help if you're doing this for the first time. Just take that screenshot, send it over via email to Matt. You are entered to win.
You got it.
We will pick a random iTunes review next week to win the prize. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. The big question though, Matt.
Yep.
What is somebody going to win?
Well, this is something I can guarantee 100% that nobody has.
Nobody.
We are giving away a fantastic, wonderful, out of this world Muggle Out t-shirt.
Say what?
That's right. If you head over to talesfromgodric's.hollow.com/shop, or there, by the time you hear this, there will be links up on the site too. You can find it. Brand new store we're opening up on the site. You'll be able to find this Muggle Out t-shirt along with a few other trinkets that may be up there. But we are going to give away one Muggle Out shirt next week.
It's beautiful. It's wonderful.
I like it.
Everybody has, like, you know, their own Harry Potter merchandise and own Harry Potter t-shirts and stuff like that. How many of you have Muggle Out t-shirts? Nobody. till now. Now's your opportunity. You can wear it and say, one of a kind. Well, almost one of a kind. I'm part of an exclusive group here. And it's going to be a conversation starter. People are going to say, I'm familiar with the Muggle term. I'm familiar with that, that lettering. It looks vaguely familiar. But the Muggle out phrase itself, not familiar with. What does that mean? Where did that come from? And then you can say, well, there's this one idiot who took 20 years to read Harry Potter. He's finally doing it, and we're all sitting back with a bucket of popcorn watching him flail miserably as he tries to make his way through the series.
Something like that. You can improvise a little bit if you want.
Yeah. Fill in the blanks how you see fit. Regardless, that's going to be an awesome thing. You'll, get to pick the size of the t-shirt. Obviously, we're not just going to send you a random shirt and hope it fits.
Everybody gets an extra small.
Yeah. So that's going to be cool. So that's tied to the iTunes reviews. You don't have to do anything unless you haven't submitted an iTunes review yet, in which case, like I said, type it up, take that screenshot, email it over to talesfromgodricshollow@gmail.com. You'll be entered to win. Everybody that's already done so is already entered, so you don't got to do anything else except sit back and wait for your number to be called.
You got it.
Matt, this has been a great episode.
I like to think so.
I was way more excited going into this episode than I was last week.
Yeah, you were much more amped up this week.
Well, again, coming right off the reading helped.
Like I said, yeah, that definitely made a difference from, pretty much any other episode.
But also, it was just some awful things that I need to vent about. And I appreciate you all listening to that and helping me get through it.
Yep.
You especially, Matt, you had to sit there and take the brunt of it. But then again, you kind of set me up to get in that mood in the first place. So,
oh yeah, I have my cutoffs.
Yeah, so it's the whole half Slytherin, half Ravenclaw dynamic popping up. One question before we leave, though, Matt.
Sure.
It's an unsettled question from last week.
Okay.
We discussed, we're talking about you being half Ravenclaw, half Slytherin.
Yep.
But last week I asked you what your wife was, and you were very, very uncertain when you made the claim that you thought she was probably Ravenclaw.
Yeah, I honestly, I was just trying to remember if I have ever confirmed that. Okay. Especially since I've started this podcast.
Right.
But I did double check with her. Uh-huh. She is indeed a Ravenclaw.
Okay. So you were okay with that one then?
Yes. Okay. I was spot on.
Fantastic. Just need to... I just wanted clarification. I didn't want that to be a lingering question for the listening audience that was wondering like I was all week. So
fair enough.
Matt, we're going to be turning around in a couple of days and doing this again. I look forward to it.
We are. Me too.
Next week, or in a couple of days, will be chapters 20 and 21 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Until then, you could find me personally on Twitter at The Noise. That's with a Y. Please be sure to follow the show on Twitter at Tales from GH. That is, of course, where you can find the Muggle poll every week and some excellent poll quotes that Matt finds from the ridiculous things I say on a weekly basis. Follow us on Instagram at Tales from Godric's Hollow, all one word. The website, like Matt brought up, talesfromgodricshollow.com. Be sure to go to the .com/shop. You can check out the first set of merchandise things that we're going to have available. We are working on much, much more. It's a slow process, but we are getting there, folks. Got to start somewhere, right?
Yep.
And if you'd like to support us, allow us to do what we're doing here. We have 2 wonderful headmistresses. We have many more of you that are supporting us. and allowing us to do these amazing giveaways and everything else that we're trying to provide for this entire community. You could be a part of that as well over on Patreon, patreon.com/Tales from Godric's Hollow. Matt, where can the people find you?
Well, you can always find me personally on Twitter at @AsAMatterOfMatt. Otherwise, you know where to send emails, your iTunes reviews for the giveaways, any other emails for episode 60. Please try to have them in by August 17th. That's this Thursday. That can all go to talesfromgodricshollow@gmail.com.
Perfect. It's going to be a short week, but it will release at the same time the following week, so don't worry about that, folks. But until then, like the t-shirt says, Muggle out.
Mischief managed.